Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
The American flag flies high in Atlanta, Georgia, as we welcome you to round 6 of the Warana Super Series for Real Sim Racing Australia. It is the first enduro of the season from Road Atlanta. And what a night we're in for here. 62 laps, 250 kilometres of racing, and bragging rights on the line because we'll mark the midway point of the championship at the end of this round. And it's great to be with you on a Tuesday night, our usual slot, a slightly earlier start. Tuesday night motorsport on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Everybody, I'm Zach Cape and Matt Davis here alongside me. Welcome to round 6. First enduro of the season, as I say. 6 rounds in, 5 races, 6 races in, 5 rounds down. Race 7 of the season coming up tonight. The championship so far has been between Corey Shepherd and Dylan Rudd. But by Rehan Leonage fought his way back into proceedings last week and made sure that we're aware that he's still a name to watch in the RSRA Super Series with that awesome win in a strategy duel with the boys and got the better of them. It was really good to see. Matt Davis is alongside me. We've got a special ANZAC Day pre-match ceremony to get through very shortly, Matt. We'll get to that in just a moment. But obviously, first up, qualifying underway. He's 17 3/4 minutes still to rock in all of that. Great to have you along for the ride once more, mate. First enduro of the season. 3 weeks of 3 different formats, of course. Sprint, then an enduro, then a super sprint. Time to be alive in this championship.
Hey, bro, very big good evening to you, mate. Everybody watching wherever you are all around the world on the platform SimShed Broadcast. First enduro of the round, Cabo. I mean, I'm pumped for it. Our enduro for the 2 series is due next week at Imola. We had a cracking race last night at Road Atlanta for a sprint race. Turned out to be a one-stopper. So tonight going into the enduro is going to be absolutely awesome to see who's going to be pulling in the strategy cards. Can Rehan Leonage pull out another fluke? I wouldn't say a fluke, but an amazing strategy call that he did last week. That's going to be one to watch tonight, certainly. Dylan Pereira, he's up there as well in qualifying. Another guy to watch. Can he get it all wound together? Can he fix up those little 1%ers and really make way and get after the front runners, Dylan Rudd and Corey Shepherd at the moment, who's currently fast in qualifying and has obliterated the lap record by over 2 seconds as well, Cabo. So tonight's going to be a real thriller, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly right. Rounds 3 through 7 offer 3 different formats in the space of 5 weeks. Round 3 super sprint, round 4 through 8, I should say. Round 3 being the sprint at Mosport. Then, of course, we got a super sprint at Long Beach. Then we went sprint at Lime Rock, and that was fantastic in all its glory. Now an enduro at Road Atlanta. I misspoke. It's a sprint for us next week at the Imola circuit in Italy, and then a super sprint at Oran Park. So this 5-week stretch starts at Long Beach, ends at Oran Park. 2 super sprints at the top, 2 sprints, just to add a little bit of icing. And then in the middle, the chunk of it is tonight's enduro. I'm looking forward to it immensely. Corey Shepherd, Dylan Rudd, that championship battle continues, Matt, but very much in favour of Corey Shepherd now because Dylan Rudd had a night to forget last week.
Yeah, Shepherd's really starting to skip away now. I mean, he's been a force to reckon with all season long, hasn't he? I mean, Rehan Leonage last week really upset that, and maybe that might play caution to the wind of Corey Shepherd tonight. That might be playing in the back of the mind that Rehan Leonage is amazing on that strategy call of his, and Shepherd might be looking out maybe to cover off Leonage tonight, who's currently sitting in 7th position, but I mean, there's still 15 minutes to go in qualifying, so it's anybody's game at the moment.
Exactly, 117.63 the benchmark. You can see it there on your screen at the moment. Just under 15 minutes now left in this qualifying session. And a duel between Shepherd and Rudd set to ignite here once more. Road Atlanta, a great track for racing. We'll have a look at that in just a moment for you. I want to go back and cover off last week once more, Matt, because as you said, it was strategy, but it was all brought about by a safety car at an inopportune moment. It threw a curveball, didn't it, the deployment of the safety car on, I think it was about lap 9 or 10. And there were a few guys in the lane that, in the game, I should say, that decided here's a good opportunity for us to dive into the lane, top the tank up and see how we go. They probably needed another safety car along the way to make that happen and make that work beautifully for them. It didn't eventuate. And what we got was Rehan Leonage, who stayed out, on what was meant to be the traditional strategy, but became the alternate strategy, given how many people gave themselves an invoice to pay with an extra transit down pit road. And it eventually worked for him, and in spectacular fashion. And it was a great way for him to bounce back in the Super Series, given that it hadn't been the easiest start of the season for him. Yeah, okay, sure, still in the top 5 of the championship, but not pushing for wins and podiums like we became accustomed to in what was season 3 of 2021. And it's interesting, isn't it? You think safety car, and all of a sudden, panic stations, people think, oh, crap, we've got to get into pit lane, we've got to fuel up, here's an opportunity to, maybe gain an advantage. And it really backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can have that effect on a lot of drivers. I mean, some of these guys are running without crew chiefs, so they're doing it off the fly, what they know is best, and they take the gamble, and sometimes it can pay off, sometimes it can't. Last night we had a late safety car get called in the race. Very easy to find yourself in the wall out of turn 5 around Road Atlanta. So turn 5 claimed a victim, and we found the safety car come out late, but it was a one-stopper last night, so they'd already taken that pit stop. The tyres were already old, so it really spiced it up. And the same thing happened last week in the Super Series. It just the alternate strategy that came about, which was originally the planned strategy for these guys, turned out to be the race-winning strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see. The guys have 3 stops to do tonight. They'd be able to break it up in the 2020 and get it maybe home. Just get it home on the 2-stopper. But that's going to be critical fuel saving, because overall you need to save 3 laps of fuel somehow around Road Atlanta. Very hard to do so when you've got such a long back straight from turn 7 to turn 10.
That's a good point. Let me come back to that in just a moment when we have a look at the track facts and stats for tonight. Let's give everybody an update on the championship standings, though, as we enter this round. As I said, the 7th race, the 6th round of the season. I knew what I was trying to say. It's Corey Shepherd, of course, on top of the point standings at the moment. Look at that margin. It's ballooned out to 27 points on the back of Dylan Rudd's 2 transits down pit lane for 2 pit lane infringements last week. Then Sean Mcnamara, who pushed Rehan Leonage all the way in the closing stages on 7:17. Rehan with that win. Leapfrogs Rainer Costello, who's not on the grid tonight. We'll explain why in a moment. 705 points and 694 for Costello. But he's unfortunately inconvenienced by not being on the grid tonight. It's nothing sinister. It's actually a good reason not to be on the grid. We'll get to that in a moment. But it's going to cost him hugely in this championship fight, because all points count. We know how tight it is at the top end of town. You can't afford a 0. He's giving himself a 0 tonight. Simon Chadwick on 641, Cameron Jones 639, David Kirby 616, Brenton Nitschke, and also Robert Crisdale there on 608 points. We'll let that scroll so you can find where your favourite driver's sitting at the moment. Nice touch there on the top left-hand corner by the great man JP with the ANZAC appeal emblem as well. In fact, you'll see more of that during the ANZAC Observance, which we'll get to in just a moment. Rainer Costello out to celebrate his granddad's birthday tonight, and to be fair, he would have got chastised from both JP and myself, and probably Matt Davis as well, if he decided to pass up a free meal and an opportunity to do the right thing and spend some time with his gramps instead of going sim racing. So good on you, Rainer, and happy birthday to your granddad as well. We'll see you back on the grid next week. You know what that's like, Matt Davis, as well, because you nearly got yourself in trouble earlier in the year for not going out for a family function on I think it was a Tuesday night. We had Dan Leake coming in filling for you.
That was last week, actually.
yeah, exactly. And wasn't there an instance earlier in the season as well?
Yeah, I think there was. I think I did have that's right. My dear mother, my dear mother's birthday just so happened to fall on a Tuesday night, which I was a little bit upset about, because it was Long Beach. So
yeah, exactly.
I had to miss out on Long Beach again, but I think I ended up. No, I called Long Beach with you. It was the week before.
I think it was Mosport.
Yeah, it was Mosport. That's right.
Yeah.
It was through Mosport.
Yeah.
So
now,
it was lucky.
On that note, can we just say that it just goes to show you that, yes, there is an existence and we do have a life beyond sim racing, ladies and gentlemen. Our producer, JP, was in my ear before the race saying, I'll eventually understand what that's all about. and eventually take my own advice. But no, the fact of the matter is that it is an extraordinary commitment from all these guys to be here each and every Tuesday night. As we get back to normal and you're allowed to go out and socialise and you're allowed to gathering more than, groups of 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever the, restrictions were, it's a case of things will pop up from time to time. And at the end of the day, there's not $1 million on the line here. Yes, we race for sheep stations. If you ask the drivers that, they'll concur. But, life goes on and the sim racing is always going to be there. So I'm glad that Rayner's out enjoying himself. He will be a little bit filthy, don't worry, that he's not here, because he would have loved to have taken the fight to Rehan Leonage again tonight. But he will come back, a man on a mission, next week. And that brings up an important point as well, Matt, because he's going to be one of those guys that these championship contenders are going to have to take into consideration in the remaining 6 weeks of the season. Someone that, because of his situation, will be able to throw caution to the wind and not have to worry about the implications as far as the championship's concerned. And that's always fun from our perspective.
Yeah, to see the full flight or the full send of Rainer Costello is going to be a cracking one to watch. I mean, we've seen him do it a couple times now, and just throw caution to the wind, and he's done it ever so cleanly. You'd think a driver like that in the full send mode, that just goes with the flight, will be reckless. Nevertheless on track, but the etiquette that he gives to other drivers around him is phenomenal. So to be able to watch him go full flight, leading into the back half of this championship now, is one to watch. And I'm looking extremely forward to watching what Rainer Costello can do, and if he can really take it for Corey Shepherd, as he has gone faster again in qualifying, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
1:17.63. Now that's blistering pace. Brad just skips into the 1:17s as well himself.
So a couple of changes well worth noting tonight. We've got 26 drivers lining up on the grid. Bruce Tunnock, Ben Morris yet to trouble the scorers as far as qualifying lap times are concerned, but they are in the server. We've got 24 drivers that have clocked time so far. Everyone that's been a regular viewer of the season thus far will know that throughout the 5 rounds of the season, we've had a 2-part qualifying session. That's out the window for tonight. Not sure if it's just because Road Atlanta is the longest circuit or because of the fact that everything's starting a little bit earlier. But race control made the decision, and the organisers of the series made the decision, because it's just getting an immediate piece, because it's a longer track, to have an all-in qualifying session. It also means that it's slightly shorter. We have been having 35 minutes, 15 for each group with a 5-minute break in between. Now it's an all-in 20-minute hit-out. So that's good to see as well. Keen observers will know, and I made this point on Sunday night when we discussed it, that this race is starting about half an hour earlier than what our 250-kilometre races were starting last year, which means that we're on air earlier. But next week we'll go back to the usual time of about 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time and bring the race to you not long after that. But it also means that a slightly earlier finish time tonight. And there are some people in this paddock, Matt Davis, that will be rather happy, rather pleased with that because of their early alarm clocks.
Well, I mean, we were out of the broadcast booth last night at 10 o'clock on the dot. So I was actually quite astounded at that one. It was an absolute cracking and flying race at it as well. So I was really, really impressed with the drivers last night to get that done so quick. And also tonight, I mean, an endurance round, usually we're going to 11 o'clock at night. So the likes of myself, Dylan Rudd, and the other drivers throughout the field, JP being another one of them, our director, we're all going to be enjoying a really early night tonight, which is going to be great. I mean, we get to go spend half an hour, 45 minutes with the family before we do all go off to bed and get some shut-eye. But I mean, knowing you, Zach Caban, there's always going to be something throwing the spanner works in the post-race show.
You're welcome. We'll see what we can come up with at the end here. How about that? The shots have been fired early on. No, in saying all of that, I'm just doing the calculations. 3 laps every 4 minutes. 4 by 21 is 84, because that's 21 being times 3 is 63. That's the race distance. So we may get what, 90-minute race tonight, even give or take a safety car, of course. Yep. That will be very interesting to see. We can run this race as quickly as what the boys ran last night in an average speed sense. and that might allow us to be out of by 10 o'clock on the dot. Let's have a look at the track map and tell you where we are, ladies and gentlemen, because it is Road Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia, and it is on the East Coast, of course. So we have been on the West Coast, and now this is the second week in a row on the East Coast. It is a 13-turn circuit. It's 4.08 kilometres long, 2 kilometres an hour along pit lane for these drivers. Might be mindful of that, the amount of pit lane infringements we've seen in recent weeks. The race server date is the 26th of April, 2022. Time of day I'll find out for you before we get too much further as well. But race distance tonight, 253.6 kilometres. Fuel restriction, this is an interesting one. Matt mentioned it earlier about it being a one-stopper last night instead of a two. We're seeing there on screen 3 pit stops for a 60.7 fuel restriction in litres, of course. 3.2 the litre per lap. That gets us out. Brakes start with 7 p.m. server time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. So probably a good thing we're here tonight, not tomorrow morning. But 7 p.m. which means heading towards the sunset finish. The headlights will be on tonight, folks. But Atlanta, Georgia, observing daylight saving. There won't be too much dark running. Now, Queenslanders won't feel right at home in these sort of conditions, but we'll see what they bring to the table all the same. Always an opportunity to get a cheeky jab in with regards to that. Air temp 21 degrees, track temp 23. Only a 5 kilometre an hour westerly wind here to be mindful of. Rainer Costello, a previous winner here. The lap record belongs to Blake Warboys, 1:19.966. But if last night and what we're seeing in qualifying here is any indication to go by, that lap record should be obliterated tonight throughout the course of the early laps of this race. Just want to focus again, you can see it there on the screen, 62.7 litre fuel restriction, 3.2 litre burn per lap. So our numbers suggest 19.5 if you're going all guns blazing. We know, Matt Davis, that these guys are somewhat clever when it comes to conserving the tank, stretching the mileage. And if they can save anywhere between, as you say, half a lap, 1 lap, 1.5 laps, I should say, per stint, they can easily turn this into a 2-stop race. And if they get as much as 1 safety car, I think we're looking at 2 pit stops for most of the guys that have switched from an alert to it. The spanner in the works could be the early safety car and anyone trying to get a leg up with an early pit stop like what we saw last week. Of course, it backfired, but that doesn't mean necessarily that'll be part of the course going forward. Yeah, exactly right. And the other thing to take into consideration here as well, key important note, tyre limit. There's 3 sets of tyres. The set they start on and 2 fresh batches waiting for them in pit lane for the extra 90 kilometres. We've been a little bit more generous than what we have been in the past, giving them an extra set of tyres, which means if it is a 2-stop race, fresh batch at each stop. However, if by any small luck or stroke of unluck, I should say, anyone turns this into a 3-stop race, they've got to be selective with when they take on that new rubber.
Bad luck is the word that you're looking for, not unluck. So it's good to see that you're changing up the English dictionary there.
You're welcome.
Okay, but, yeah, the 2-stop race could be a very high possibility. I mean, an early safety car could really bring out the strategy calls. I mean, you could almost not pit under that safety car, roll around on what you've got if it's out within the first 10 laps, roll around and try and conserve 2 laps of fuel just in that safety car period. You can easily do it. The whole back straight's a very big downstretched moment. You can see the undulation around Road Atlanta. It's massive. So to keep rolling around behind the safety car is going to be very, very easy to do, especially down through the S's as well from turn 2. So it's going to be a very big one to play out, that David. And important to note, if someone wants to go all guns blazing and burns it at 19.5 laps of tank, you're looking at a critical number of either lap 57 being when they come in and top up for, that final 5 laps, or conversely, you're looking at lap 43 as the earliest they can fuel up and get home. Qualifying is done. Corey Shepherd has pole. Dylan Rudd is on position number 2. Pereira, Mcnamara, Leonard. Great performance from Dylan Pereira. Let's be perfectly honest. Let's point that straight away. I mean, 1:18.16. Only Shepherd and Rudd in the 17s. No one's remotely surprised by any of that. 1:17.63 plays 1:17.96. Dylan Pereira, 1:18.16. Then Sean McNamara, Rehan Leonard. So Dylan Pereira
has gone third quickest here. A marvelous performance from him. Hopefully he can bring something to the table throughout the course of the night. It'll be interesting to see what Mcnamara dishes up. So too Leonage, of course, now with the target on his back after getting the W last week. But no doubt, you look at Shepherd, you look at Rudd, they're out for redemption tonight. They want blood.
Yes, certainly. Oh, big contact there on the entry to pit lane for Ryan Borg as well. That's going to... luckily, that's not during the race, Cabo. I mean, that would hurt him very, very dearly. As I believe this is Craig Schultz out on track at the moment in the 208. Yes, that is. Craig Schultz still out on track, finishing in his final lap, quite possibly. Last time around was a 1:19.07, so this might be actually his in-lap. Yes, it is. So that's his in-lap there. So that's him done and dusted. But definitely some redemption coming out. Shepherd's going to be wanting to get back on that top step and show why he is number one in the championship at the moment. So really, if McNamara's words are true, and what I was hearing him say is the fuel strategy is going to be very hard to do in a two-stop race tonight, unless we get the safety car. We could be on a high possibility of a three-stop race, and if someone is going for that two-stopper, it's going to be all systems go for the guys that have made that third stop to really chase them down and hunt them down towards the front of the field.
Yeah, probability of a safety car around here based on what we were saying from last night as well. Let's have a look very importantly at the two key overtaking opportunities on this circuit. Turn 6 and also turn 10. The end, so you've got the run into the first of the double apex right-handers at the top of the circuit. And then at the very end of the back straight, Slipstream's going to be king as they get down into the left-hander there at turn 11. So they're the two key overtaking opportunities on this circuit tonight. You've got to make your own luck with some of these other potential overtaking opportunities. Turn 1 also, but that is fraught with danger because of the grass on the outside of the racetrack there.
A big one to take note of, Cabo.
Yeah, mate.
Last night, I saw it happen. I could have counted on both hands the amount of times I see it. Out of 11 through 12 and 13, the amount of overtakes that I saw last night through there, that's a big moment because you're on the inside to turn 1, so it really sets you up for that run down the main straight if they get a poor drive out of turn 11. So really, there's 3 key opportunities tonight, 4 if you want to include turn 1, and then if you have a squirm out of turn 5, turn 6, and others overtaking opportunities. So really, it's all the right-handers that get you minus one, which is obviously the turn 10A, as the Yankees like to call it. All the right-handers tonight are the overtaking opportunities.
Indeed. Very nicely done from you, Mr. Davis. And that actually is a fairly good point. Turn 10, 11, 12, 13. It's all brought on by being passed at 10 and then getting the inside run out of 11 and down the up and under. And it's one of those parts of motor racing real estate anywhere in the world, and there are a few of them, where you've got to get down on the inside and work really hard for about 10, 15 seconds to get the job done and then shake your opposition off. Anyway, nevertheless, we're about to press on here because we're not too far off getting underway with our ANZAC Day pre-race observance, ladies and gentlemen. This was so special last night. We're repeating the dose again for you tonight, but this time, of course, it's a new batch of drivers and the RSRA Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries contingent paying their respects as well. Of course, 107 years since the landing at Gallipoli. And I must say, Matt, I don't know how much you guys got to touch on this last night. We certainly did over on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. How nice it was to see from a traditional standpoint, Anzac Day back in its proper guise yesterday. Everything from fully attended dawn services to parades and marches, and also the customary two-up, but also to see Gallipoli and Villa Breton dawn services back on the telly as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful to see all the dawn services finally out and fully functioning. I mean, I had the alarm clock set to make the dawn services down the road. It's literally 300 metres down the road from where I live, down in Melbourne. And I had the alarm set, and obviously a late night the night before doing a lot of work around the property forced me to miss the alarm, unfortunately. But from what I've seen all over Facebook, everyone that attended, I've currently have friends over in Gallipoli as well right now that attended the dawn service over there, and to see it all in full motion and everybody back out and respecting the fallen and everybody gave those lives, and also remembering our troops that are out on tour at the moment. I mean, it's great to see.
All right, at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, the virtual crowd at Road Atlanta in Georgia will stand. We will pause. And first up, you'll hear the New Zealand national anthem, then the Australian national anthem, as we pay homage to the Anzacs and tip the hat as a form of gratitude for their continued service, their previous service, and their future service of the great country of Australia, and also New Zealand as well.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth of toil, our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
It's always one of those occasions where the hairs on the back of the neck stand up, ladies and gentlemen. The two national anthems of New Zealand and Australia stand by, because in about 30 seconds, when the drivers, which include Hayden Sell, Sean McNamara, David Kirby, Cameron Jones, Dan Stevens, Dean Alessi, our two course car drivers as well, they'll come to a stop on the start-finish straight here, and we will progress into the ode, read out by the legendary Jack Thompson, and then, of course, the last post. There will be a minute's silence to follow that as well, just in case you tune in at the wrong time and you think, hang on, what's going on here? Why can't I hear anything? There will be a minute's silence observed, as is tradition when it comes to ANZAC Day pre-event ceremonies, and then we will get set to go racing here. Round 6 of the Goodyear Autocare Warana Super Series. We'll stand by to hear from Jack Thompson with the ode. Last post now.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Fine tingling stuff. The hairs on the back of the neck standing up each and every time you hear the last post at this time of year, ladies and gentlemen. Moving ceremony to get round 6 of the series underway this Tuesday night, the day after ANZAC Day 2022. I don't know about you, Matt Davis, but that must psych everyone up all the more for what lies ahead in the next short while. We've got about 5 minutes now before the cars will be on the grid. These guys will make their way back to pit lane at a calm, controlled moderate tempo behind our two core cars here. They'll have a 2-minute break to conduct out of sim pit stop, and then they'll be back on the grid ready to go for 250 kilometres. But that moving ceremony right there, that just, I guess it puts everybody on edge, warms everybody up, gets everyone just that little bit more excited and more pumped for the occasion, because it is a big occasion. It's racing on Anzac weekend.
It certainly is a big occasion. I mean, it's last night when we did it for Super 2E series, it stood the hairs on the back of me just it stood right up and gave me goosebumps everywhere. And it did the exact same thing again tonight. I mean, just to watch the cars sit there dormant, dead silence, and just not a whisper on the track. You could hear a pen drop on a virtual track, or even on a real track. You can just hear the pen drop in a crowd. That sends shivers down anybody's spine, and to be a part of it within the broadcasting booth alongside yourself and our director JP is one thing, and to be able to call it as a lead last night was just that's the highlight of a commentary career in the sim racing for me. And it's going to be one that I look forward to year in, year out.
100%. No, very well done to all concerned, all the drivers involved in that, the teams involved in that, running their special liveries, as you can see there on the bonnet of Cameron Jones's car as well for Century Motorsports. So a couple of different looking liveries tonight because everyone's put to the special ANZAC Day packages to pay homage to the ANZACs. And it's not just remembering and recognising and commemorating the service men and women of Gallipoli 1915 and World War One. But as Peter Dutton and a few others so correctly put it yesterday, it's about recognising and acknowledging all men and women that have served the country in all conflict since then, and those that continue to do so. Of course, everyone on edge about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and whether there may be at least some Australian involvement in that as well. So, well done to all concerned. And now, I guess, with the emotion and the enormity of that behind us, the difficult task now, Matt, is in about 2.5 minutes. These guys have to get their heads set and get their minds straight, ready to go into the conflict of battle that awaits them at Road Atlanta over 250 kilometres. And moments like that are emotional. It can get the better of you. It's a challenge now to put the enormity of this to the back of your head and focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's for the drivers sitting in the pits watching what's going on in front of them is one thing. They've got time to relax, but the guys that have gone and done this amazingly beautiful parade lap for us in Real Sim Racing Australia and the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries, it takes it out of you. You're in the moment. You're out there. You're out on track. You're trying to not make a fool of yourself. Drive to what is being relayed to you before you went out and trying to abide by that. And to be able to pull up there, sit there dormant, within the sim and your car and wait, listen to the last post and the ode being read out by Jack Thompson, then that minute silence that it can go either one of two ways, Cabo. You can use that minute of silence to reflect and respect, but also at the same time get yourself in that mindset and really look forward to what's ahead of you for the next 250 plus kilometers.
Indeed, it is the case. Let's get on with this, ladies and gentlemen. Cars heading to the grid now, lining up for round 6 of the Goodyear Autocare Warana Super Series. Grid looks like this. Corey Shepherd and Dylan Rudd on the front row. Dylan Pereira and Sean McNamara from row 2. Rehan Leonage, Brian Borg from 3. Luke Grundle, Cameron Jones from 4. Thomas Freeman, David Kirby from 5. Simon Chadwick and Hayden Sell from 6. From
Hayden
7,
Norris and Craig Schultz will be from row 7. Robert Crisdale, Michael Angus, row 8. Simon Balakai Turner, row 9. Jamie Dyke, Brian Good will line up next to each other on row 10. Brenton Nitschke and Matthew Scholes occupy row 11, ladies and gentlemen. Wade Sheedy, Dean Alessi out of row 12 tonight.
And that makes up the field for you, ladies and gentlemen, because look at that. We've got a couple of non-starters in Bruce Tunnock and Ben Morris. We've got 2 virtual Real Sim Racing Australia safety car drivers in Daniel Stevens and Lee Davis there as well. We are set to rock and roll. What is it? 62 laps. 253 kilometres, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. The first of 2 Enduros in Season 1 of the 2022 Goodyear Autocare Warana Super Series campaign from Road Atlanta. We've not done a 250-kilometre around here. Let's see what sort of racing ignites before tonight with that added incentive of an extra 90 kilometres, an extra pit stop, an extra set of tyres. All the right ingredients are there on the back of a very moving ANZAC Day match service. We are set. The 2 championship combatants, 1 and 2 on this grid. Mcnamara with a statement to make after getting on the podium last week. Rehan Leonage after winning last week's race. Also looking to return, serve and continue with that sort of dominance and continue that good form that saw him get the better of these guys in a strategy gameplay last week. And what can Dylan Pereira do from 3rd as well? We're all but set. We're ready to go. Cars lining up. Should have a start any tick of the clock. They're holding a very long time here. Should
few
be
extra
another
seconds
minute.
tonight, Cabo, which has been good for us.
Yeah.
Usually we have to rattle it off and
Exactly.
and get straight into it. Usually sometimes we even miss the green light, but tonight's been all right. I mean, force to reckon with tonight's definitely Corey Shepherd. He set the pace early on in qualifying, so he's going to be the one to watch. But I'm interested to see what McNamara and Pereira can do tonight, and if Rian Leonage can go back to back on his strategy calls.
Who's your tip?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
The drivers that I mentioned.
Yeah, fair enough too. We're ready to rock and roll at Road Atlanta, Georgia, going home to the RSRA Super Series for the first time this year. Let's go racing on Tuesday night. Beautiful start out of the blocks from Corey Shepherd. Dylan Rudd could do nothing but move across to cover off the attack of Dylan Pereira as they head towards the first corner. Look at Rian Leonage as well up there, trying to get better of Dylan Rudd. Sorry, Brian Bull, I should say, and has done that. Mcnamara has covered off Dylan Pereira as well. So, status quo with the exception of McNamara and Pereira. The top six make their way down the hill, followed by the rest of the pack. Brundle, Jones, Freeman, Kirby, Chadwick. Only one move to the top 11 at this point is to sort themselves through the S's section of the circuit and do so very cleanly for the first time. Now the race to the back straight.
Very, very clean start, Kobo, by everybody in the entire field. Kai Turner just goes off track as he comes out of turn 5 there at the back of the pack as he comes to the bottom of the S. That's the only mistake so far by drivers. They come around turn 7 and jump on the back straight for the first time. Wade Sheedy already up 4 positions. Hayden Norris up 1 in 12th as well. From that, it's pretty status quo throughout the rest. French Nitzky up 3, Dina Leslie up 2. Dylan Rudd trying to hunt down Shepherd down the back straight. He's in the slipstream. Wants to play it nice and safe. There's 62 laps to go. Ladies and gentlemen, he's made a little bit of a mistake in the first chicane. McNamara gets squirmy out of it as well. And McNamara takes the opportunity to move himself up in a second position. Can Dylan Pereira capitalise through to 11 and 12? And he's going to have to sit there and try and give his teammate Rian Leonage a tow as they go across the line to start lap 2.
A Premier car at the front end of town. A Premier car in 6th. In between that, the 295 entries with those beautifully presented ANZAC liveries. Then the 2 Phoenix Racing Squad entries as well. So 3 teams dominating the top 6 at the moment. Grundle, Jones, Freeman, Kirby make up the top 10. Craig Schultz has dropped 2 positions off the start. He down to 16th. Brenton Nitschke up 3. Wade Sheedy up 4. And they're the best of the movers thus far. They are, however, stuck down in 18th and 19th position. Not a great start for Kai Turner. Sitting down there in 25th position, having lost 7 positions. And we've got Michael Angus and Simon Vella off the circuit now as well. So they've lost out big time down the back end of town. I'm going to assume that's around turn 5, turn 6. Vella's still showing off the circuit as Turner goes on by. Michael Angus has dropped 7 spots in all of that. Thankfully, Vella's been able to get back on the circuit. Play on, everybody, no safety car just yet. Jamie Dyke started from pit lane. Didn't start from pit lane, I should say. He came in at the end of lap 1, Matt Davis. 19.17 seconds he was stationary for. He's dropped 2 spots as a result of all of that. What's going on here, please? Down at turn 6.
Oh, no.
That was the incident between Angus and Vella. That's what happened. Looks like Angus got locked up.
That's a bit of a weird one. Angus sort of almost went straight on there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Bella's just the sitting bystander on the outside. He had Nitschke go up the inside of him as well. And that's it. Let's grab another replay of that one, Kabo, because I'd like to pay very close attention to that one.
Oh,
Angus got caught up on the outside of 5 and got a slowdown. Angus was trying to serve a slowdown. Nitschke saw the opportunity to go up the inside. Angus gave him plenty of room. And then Simon didn't realise Bella was there, and Bella's just turned in onto him.
That's unlucky. We'll wait and see what race control decides to do about that from an adjudication standpoint, because they'll have 2 or 3 things to look at there. First one being the rejoin, then second one being the incident. Firstly, I mentioned Jamie Dyke's already been in the pit lane, so Pereira's in trouble and down. So Pereira's down to 9th as a result of that, and McNamara is all the way down in 17th. So something's gone on with those guys during the course of what we were showing you with the incident between Vella and Angus, but also I'm Jamie Dyke in pit lane early on lap 1. Bruce Tunnock was also there, so Tunnock's joined the grid. We mentioned that he didn't set a time in qualifying. I thought he was a non-starter. No, he is out there. He's 21st at the moment. that he, by the looks of it, he started from pit
McNamara ran
lane.
straight.
McNamara runs straight through. That'll cop him a slowdown.
Big slowdown.
And that's why he'll have dropped down all those spots. Dylan Rudd moves back on by to second. Rehan Leonage to third. And was there contact? Dylan Pereira trying to get by on the inside up to turn one?
Yes, there was. Yes. Yeah, there was contact.
There it goes. And that's unlucky for the pair of them because that's going to cost them both the swagger positions. Now, it doesn't explain why McNamara's ended up in 17th, but it does go make some part of the puzzle and picture together for you. Steering issue, we're being told. So that curtains for Sean McNamara tonight, if that's the case, because there are no fast repairs waiting for these boys in pit lane. Yes, there's an extra set of rubber, but that's not going to fix your steering issue. So it could be a long night at the office for the number one.
He might have just served this sliding. He might have just stopped on track, served this sliding onto the back of the field. His car's looking very oversteery as well, though, so it might have been a bit of damage that up already, but it wasn't too much of a contact though when they came together. It's a very interesting one to really look at. It's hard to tell from an in-car point of view, and I mean, the only person that's really going to know what's wrong with the car is McNamara. So to see him go from second position down to 25th is a very, very big drop, even though he did cop a slowdown, which he was serving. He did back off the pace as well, quite significantly to serve that slowdown, and unfortunately got tangled up with Pereira.
Lap 5 of 62 on the Road Atlanta course in Georgia. Fireworks from the outside. One thing remains the same, and this Corey Shepherd, the championship leader, leading the field. Onto the back straight they go. The run of 7 down to 8, then to 9, which is the right-hand kink here that heads down to the chicane at 11. Already a fair bit of action there so far tonight. What can Sean McNamara do now as we have a look at Hayden Sell on the inside of Hayden Norris? The two Haydens getting side by side, and Sell gets by on Norris. Now the question is, what does Sean McNamara do from 25th? Can he do anything? Can he achieve anything from 25th? We will wait and see on that. There is, however, a drive-through penalty coming for Michael Angus. That one's not surprising to me. And that's for the incident on lap 2 with Simon Bell, which we've already detailed in effect. So we'll press on from that. Yeah, that'll be frustrating for Michael Angus all the same.
Yeah, very frustrating. I think McNamara served himself a drive-through penalty as well. Maybe an iRacing drive-through penalty, though, for not serving the slowdown before the control line. So could be part of the reason why McNamara is so far back, but he's 44 seconds off the front of the field at the moment. So he's a long, long way down. And in the pits he goes again for the second time. So he might be going that early strategy. He might be going to mix things up just that little bit now, get himself some very fresh air. It's going to hurt him. He doesn't have the slipstream from there. But it's the only way that he can really have a stab to try and get back to the front of the field and try the ultimate undercut that we're going to see.
I'm just keeping an eye on this because the leaders are coming down out of turn 12 into 13 now. They might lap him here. They may well lap him here. We will wait and see. So this is quite interesting. The championship, the defense champion, is going to go down a lap. Corey Shepherd on McNamara in Ulster Strife in the piece. Now, he desperately needs a safety car now all of a sudden, Matt, and then a bit of luck from there. And you don't always get both of those in an RSRA Super Series round for Goodyear Autocare Warana. So he might be biting off more than he can chew if he's hoping for a bit of luck.
Well, he's 45 seconds in pit lane, so he's really hoping for that safety car. There was obviously some damage to McNamara's car there at some point. So he's dove in, he's got it fixed. You know there's going to be a safety car at some point in this race. When it's going to come out is known to anybody. It can come out now, it can come back out in 40 laps, 50 laps time. So he's just going to have to claw his way back, do his thing. We know McNamara is a great strategic driver. He knows what he's doing. He's obviously got the fuel and the repairs that he's needed. Probably thrown on a fresh set of tyres just sake of it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where he can claw his way back from. So, we got
big send, big move.
Big Send.
Magnificent drive as they make their way round onto the main straight. Have a look at this. Elbows around early at Road Atlanta. That,
Chadwick on
I
sale.
believe, was that the, that's right, Chadwick, 957. I was trying to pick up the number. I never have any luck picking up the numbers from that far back. Of course, it is the 95 SimSport entry and that livery, which is one of my favourites, actually, I must say, of all the ANZAC liveries that have been put together for this round. The boys have really done themselves proud with them, and that was Chadwick moving himself into ninth on Hayden's cell and covering it off. Hayden Norris trying to go with them as well, and it's 2.5 seconds up the road then to David Kirby, who is in 8th place. I saw the 7 at the end there. I couldn't see the 9.5. I thought my first cut was go, but no, it was 9.5 at the front of the 7 there. So it's 307 leading 957, 8th and 9th on the racetrack. Thomas Freeman's all over the back of Cameron Jones, all over the back of Luke Grundell as well. So battles are raging all over the circuit. And here goes Cyril back down the inside. Contact, Chadwick. They had each other by the throat. The doors were banging as they made their way through. And
Chadwick gets a poor run out.
The pair of them. Any contact there, Matt, and they were in real trouble.
Oh, were they? Bang the doors just a little bit of rubbing is racing. Chadwick got a poor run out of turn 11 or turn 10B. If there's any Americans watching, and just allowed Norris to really close up on the back of him. Allowed Sell to skip out as well. Also, one to note, Dylan Pereira. You saw it on your screen as well, ladies and gentlemen. Got a drive-through penalty for car contact with Sean Mcnamara, the number 1. So Pereira surged his drive-through penalty. He's now fallen all the way back to 22nd position. Michael Langer's now down in 23rd as well. And then obviously a lap down is Sean Mcnamara at the moment. Biggest gainer though so far, or gainers should I say, Cabo, is Peter Lessing, Bruce Tannick, currently sitting 17th and 18th.
Yeah, they certainly are. Wade Shea, in fact, gained 9 positions as well. He's up in 14th. I mean, first and second remain as they were. Everyone else down 18th has gained in some way, shape or form. And then the losses down there, 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. John McNamara, that stop was...
Oh, no!
Walk up and gone! Walk up and gone! Oh,
that was
Thomas Freeman and Luke Grundell.
That's big.
That's huge. Now, in saying all of that, let me cover off a couple of things here before we get another look at this on replay. Simon Vella also in pit lane, has been for 3 minutes now. So Vella clearly still suffering some damage as a result of the incident with Mike Angus.
Oh,
Freeman
just missed the brake marker completely.
By a long shot, by a good 50 metres. You saw him lunge down there on the inside of the KFC entry. How lucky was Cameron Jones in all of that. And all of a sudden, Grundell and Freeman in the kitty litter. Freeman gets away with it. Grundell not so. But I guess if Freeman will have an invoice come his way, care of race control to transit down pit lane. Now, just some comments on social media with regards to McNamara and that incident with Dylan Pereira. There was a question here whether he covered off the line with a slowdown or whether it was off the pace. We can't quite answer that at the moment. We're suspecting he may have been off the pace, but it could have been a combination of the above. Well, yeah, if you are something a penalty, I don't think iRace would look too favourably if you shut the door like that either while serving the slowdown. But that's beyond our control. That's something that race control would have a look at if it was an issue. I'll get to the other point that I want to make with regards to that in just a moment. There is a penalty straight away. No of it out. Race control didn't even adjudicate,
That's not even look at it.
No, they didn't even look at it. They didn't even dwell on it. They just slapped it straight at Thomas Freeman, said, "Come to pit lane, son." So Freeman's doing that, serving his drive-through now. We're on lap 11 of this race. Already so much has unfolded in the opening 6 of this 250-kilometre 2-lap encounter, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing is clear. We've got a few guys on the back foot, namely Dylan Pereira, Sean McNamara, Simon Vella in pit lane still after 5 minutes. 75% race distance here. You're looking at about 46, 47 laps. So Vela's still an opportunity to score points if he gets out in the next short while, but he is already 4 laps down on the field. Rehan Leonage here under tremendous pressure from Brian Borg. We look out the back and see daylight to Cameron Jones, David Kirby and Hayden Sell, and he's now all over the back of Rehan Leonage. We right on board with him up over the rise. The youngsters up challenge so far. Let's see what happens here as they head down the hill. Borg's got to run. Borg's got to run. Borg's got a real good run. Have a look at that. You can't get any closer. He's rubbing the pace, SMSing with Leonage, and now he makes his way through. Borg to third on the inside of Leonage on the front of turn 1. Beautiful manoeuvre from the Premier Racing Team entry.
Leonage let him go there. Leonage knew it's not worth the fight so early on in such a long race. He knows that this strategy is going to come into play very, very soon. There's only 8 laps, not even 7 laps, before we even start to see drivers make the dash in pit lane if they've been saving, which we know that they can. Look for 2021. We can stretch it out to then. That's going to be a massive, massive fuel save for these guys. So lap 20 would be a static. They can get to lap 21. That's them done and dusted to the finish line on a 2-stopper.
All happening here at the moment. Great to have your company on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Tuesday night motorsport live from virtual Road Atlanta. Pit stops. Matt Davis is off to have one. I quite strategically got mine in before we went green tonight, and that's the broadcast, not the race. 12 of 62. Corey Shepherd, Gerald Rudd, and Borg, Rehan Leonage, Cameron Jones, David Kirby, Hayden Stell, Simon Chapman, Hayden Norris, Craig Schultz. The top 10, the running order, scrolling across the bottom of your screen at the moment. Heading towards sunset here. At some point in the next probably 3/4 of an hour, you will see headlights ablaze as we head towards sunset. The comment was made earlier in the season, don't know if we'll get a night race in this campaign. We're going to get a sunset one. We're going to get a twilight here at Road Atlanta. Of course, this is synonymous with the nighttime finish, the Petit Le Mans United Sports Car Championship, IMSA WeatherTech campaign event at the end of their season in October. For us here on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting, Goodyear, Autocare, Warana, SuperSeries, I'm just having a look at the races ahead. Imola, Oran Park, Donington, Interlagos, Road America, and Bathurst. Yeah, none of them have great track lighting, so I don't know if we'll get a nighttime race season, but we will get a twilight one here, which is better than nothing. Here's our Thomas Freeman friend making his way back through the field here after his indiscretion. So already quite a few drivers on the back foot having ruffled some feathers race control. We know that they're fellow drivers as well. It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out from here because, as we say, Mcnamara desperately needs a safety car to get back to it. Michael Angus on the back foot, Dylan Pereira, Kai Turner all on the back foot, Thomas Freeman on the back foot, Simon Vella lagging there in pit lane. A motherless last, unfortunately, and a lot of work to do. He's not going to get back in the race in a positional battle sense, but he can still get back out there, provided that he doesn't lose any more than 15 laps and finish on the 75% rule. So a big blow to Vella. We've got Jamie Dyke off track now as well. Now has got back on, so I'm assuming, judging by where he's come off, he's run it wide on the grass coming onto the start, finish straight. So Jamie Dyke throwing everything out of the moment there. Huge moment.
That was, if I serve correct, I think that was Robert Crisdale. Had a big moment at the back there.
Yep, nailed it. I'm pretty sure you're right. David Kirby, Hayden Stell, Simon Chadwick, Hayden Norris, Craig Schultz, Robert Crisdale. Yeah, you've got it in one. Normally, and I'm hoping the director will be able to fix this problem for those of you at home as well. Here's David Kirby down on the inside of Hayden Stell. Let's focus on this first. Kirby backs out of it on Stell. 6th and 7th there. Normally we have a little indicator as to who you're watching in the bottom left or right corner of the screen there, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm sure that'll pop up shortly for you so that you know as well as we know if any of these cars and drivers are a bit hard to pick up, especially tonight with so many of them running ANZAC liveries. It's a little bit different. There's the totem pole, so we can tell you who's where and doing what. And looking at the biggest gains and losses, that's what we're talking about. There you go. So you can tell that we're following David Kirby there on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And how good, I must say, do the graphics look this season? And I say this unbiasedly. The hard work that's gone in the off season there, whereby the drivers have sent in their mug shots and they've been put on the background of their national flag. And as you'll see when Rehan Leonage is on the screen, the pride of the Sri Lankan flag flying there. As
Dylan Pereira.
Dylan Pereira. My apologies.
Pereira
I knew it was one or the other. I just couldn't remember. So yeah, Dylan Pereira. There it is. There's the Sri Lankan flag. So I mean, we're not just an Australian-New Zealand series. We're an international series as well, and very nicely done there. So 15 of 62, Matt Davis. In about the next 4, 5, 6 laps, we should see the first round of pit stops completed. Yeah,
look, I'll just start off there. I mean, I didn't have the safety car to help me with the pit stop tonight, so I had to make the green flag stop, unfortunately. So, but no, the safety car, talking about the safety car earlier on, it's really good. It'll pull Mcnamara back into this race. We'll get the wave around. He'll be back on the lead lap. Going to be very hard to do right now where he's at. He's 50 seconds off the pace, a lap down. So he's right at the back of the field running his own race. But the safety car now, I mean, we see Rudd now catching up on to Shepherd. So Shepherd's obviously in some form of fuel conversation mode, trying to control the race a little bit. We know he can skip out very, very quickly. So it's going to be interesting to see where Shepherd hits, if Dylan Rudd reacts early or if he reacts and goes for the undercut. It's going to be interesting to see that. But the safety car will bunch this field back up. And the safety car now will predominantly put this into a two-stop race. So this is what drivers are going to be hoping for, either this pit stop or in 20 laps time for the next pit stop. So they're going to be really, really pushing to try and go maximum fuel conservation mode. Very hard word to get out when you're trying to do it very, very quickly as well. Mind you, Cabo. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Rudd and Shepherd do and how the rest of the field is going to react if there is no safety car called now or within the next 20 laps.
Long way back for the defending champion, and this could be, I mean, you talk about it being a killer blow for Rainer Costello not being on the grid tonight. Mcnamara's on the grid, and this is going to be a killer blow for him, unfortunately. Dylan Rudd having a much better run than what we saw last week. There he is, giving Corey Shepherd an enormous hurry up. The battle for first is ignited here at Road Atlanta. Now, what we normally see in this series is, I guess, two processional stints whereby the guys are happy to, work as a team and are trained and build the buffer over the competition. Not too much toing and froing and jockeying for position going on.
Rudd's going to have a run.
They know the race is going to run and won in that second round of pit stops, that final stint. But tonight, I just get the feeling we might see a little bit more all-out attack and aggression. And there is the first indicator of that, the defence from Corey Shepherd on the run down to turn 11, 10 and 11, I should say, up into 12 and down to 13. Shepherd already defending on Dylan Rudd. So, I mean, you think back to, I think, Summit Point last year, we saw a little bit of argy-bargy there, Matt, between Rehan Leonage and also Dylan Rudd. But in saying that, we also saw a lot of racing whereby the field just pushed one another along. They didn't shoot out. They didn't jostle. And then once they got through that second or third round of pit stop, second round, I should say, it's a case of, okay, now let's get the elbows out. Now let's get down to business. It's interesting to see how the boys attack that week in, week out. Some races offer a little bit more than others, but you just get the feeling that at the top end of town, Dylan Rudd is happy to play the patient game. Okay, Corey Shepherd didn't give him a choice last time round, but Rudd knows that as long as he can sit behind Shepherd, he knows it's a 62-lap race for one. He can push along and stay second as long as he likes, but also he can save a little bit of fuel, more importantly, for three.
Yeah, this could also be a strategic move for Rudd to see what Corey Shepherd has actually got. I mean, we saw Mcnamara get around Rudd, so that compromised Rudd a little bit, backed off Shepherd by 2-3 seconds. So Rudd's been able to claw it in slowly as Shepherd's backed off the pace a little bit. So he's sort of trying to see where Shepherd's at the moment, what sort of pace Shepherd's got. Can he really go with the elbows out in that final stint? Maybe he does it in the next stint. Out to a nice couple second lead, possibly over Shepherd. We're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, it's everything. It could be Shepherd controlling the race. It could be Rudd trying to see what Shepherd can do in the race. It's everything's going to pan out now. And we're at the penultimate lap now with lap 19, where we maybe see them come into the pit lane at the end of this lap.
I reckon these guys will be trying to stretch it to 20. I just get that feeling that bigger picture, if they get to 20 here, then, you know, you get a safety car, you can eke an extra lap or two out of that, and then all of a sudden you've got a 20-lap run home. And all of a sudden, the two-stopper is back on the table. So I reckon they'll play the long game here and save as much as they can, eke that extra lap out, 20. I don't think they'll go to 21. And then it's a case of adapting as things change in the race and seeing what works and what doesn't work and what plays out in your favour. But again, you just don't know if we're going to get a safety car, let alone when. So on that notion, they'll go, here they go, across the line. There's lap 19 in the book. They're on to lap 20. Shepherd defending, Rudd up on the outside. Shepherd defends to one. Rudd tucks back in. Had no choice in the matter just now. Shepherd has done a beautiful job of defending here in the opening stint. Rudd now going with him punch for punch. But, yeah, the fact that they haven't had a safety car in this opening stint, they'll be aware and alert to the fact that it's going to be a long race if they want to drag it out to two stops. So they'll go as long as they can in these opening two stints, and then if they can't quite get there in the third stint, then they'll come in for the splash and dash. But given that that two-stop strategy hinges, quite ferociously on there being a safety car, getting that extra lap out of this tank, or even lap and a half, could go a long, long way to helping you in the long run.
Well, what I was just thinking about then, Kabo, while you were mentioning that, is the fact that the safety car you're on lap 50 or lap 47, lap 48, safety car comes out. What do you do then? Stay in, stay behind the safety car, wait it out, try and make it to the end. Just remember that if you do come into the pits, and he's the only driver that does come into the pits, he goes to the back of the field at that stage, providing that the rest of the field catches up to him in time. So Shepherd drives off into the pits. So this is the first of the pit stops in. Oh, Dylan.
Now.
Says Dylan runs in the pits. But
yeah. So Shepherd and Leonard have continued on. That's Brian Ball gets in pit lane. Shepherd and Leonard have continued on. They're going to get to 21. That's critical, because if they can get to 21 in the second stint, they can potentially do this on two stops and two fresh sets of boots waiting for them. I'll come back to your point about the safety car in just a moment. If you get it, and again, we are purely talking hypotheticals here, ladies and gentlemen, but that's what motor racing is. You go into these...
Hypotheticals just turned into reality, Cabo, and it's happened many a time.
Exactly, 100%. And you sit here, as we watch Shepherd down the back straight, having put a lap on the entry there of Thomas Freeman, and Mcnamara also down a lap and in pit lane now as well. So Mcnamara, there's the real possibility, if Shepherd comes in this time by, he will get back out a lap down. But if Shepherd gets another lap out of this, Mcnamara is all of a sudden going to be 2 laps down. Let's wait and see. I think he's in. Yes, he is. He's in. Freeman continues on. That's no surprise there. He'll try and get that lap back. Leonard, does he come in as well? Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Yes, he goes. Straight in on the right-hand side. Hunt Leonard enters pit lane and heads down to complete his first pit stop tonight. Shepherd, Leonard 1 and 2. Chrisdale 3rd, Nitschke 4th. Chrisdale's in. Nitschke should follow. And Dylan Ferreira should follow them. And this highlights the point as well, boys. Have a look at this. The battle is on once more. Hayden Sells and Dylan Wright. So Hayden Sells had a tremendous run through there.
He had a short stop.
He had a short stop at the start. He had a short stop, yes. So Hayden Sells all of a sudden back in this. Safety car boards and flags. Safety car boards and flags.
It's going to be critical.
Bruce Tunnock is out of the race. He's off track. And this is a game changer right here and now. The safety car is out. And Dylan Rudd is going to get the overcut on Corey Shepherd. And Dylan Rudd is going to lead this race. And all of a sudden, the tables have turned. And as you said, Matt Davis, so often those hypotheticals become reality, and that's exactly what we've got here, just not at lap 50. So we'll cover back the point in just a moment. We'll try and find out what's happened. Bruce Tunnick's got back on the track, so I'm not sure if it's him that's come undone anymore, because the safety car has got back out on the racetrack and Bruce Tunnick has resumed. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to trigger this. We'll try and find out, because there's nothing popping out at me, screaming at me that's suggesting we've got a safety car for a specific person or individual. I thought Bruce Tunnick, because he was showing us off track, but no. The safety car is out. We'll try and find out why. Dylan Rudd, Hayden Stell, Corey Shepard, Cameron Jones, Brian Borg, Rian Leonage, Hayden Norris, David Kirby, Robert Crisdale, Simon Chadwick, the top 10. And all of a sudden, this race has been turned on its bloody ear.
Yeah, it's turned upside down, inside out, you name it. The head went that way, the legs went that way, sort of thing. Corey Shepard voted to third position after the lap, but he stopped for 3 seconds longer than what Rudd did. That's one thing to note. So Shepard is, when I'm saying full to the brim, ladies and gentlemen, there's fuel coming out of the out of his fuel tank right now. Mcnamara comes back and gets his lap back, so he's going to be stoked with that one. He can now fight his way back through the field. He's on fresh tyres as well as the rest of the field. We know Mcnamara is good at coming through the field as well.
However, here's the problem, right? So there's two things here. One, yes, we've got a safety car, and yes, that might help Sean Mcnamara, but he may still pay an invoice with a third stop because he's got to burn fuel on this lap. He's got to burn fuel on this lap.
Doesn't necessarily have to burn too much fuel though,
catch the back of the train.
Oh, Sell into the pits.
Hayden Sell's coming to the pit lane right now. Now, will this be to top himself right up?
Will be.
Because he's done a short stop in the first instance, and that was his first stop. Now, why did he short fuel? We're not sure. Was he thinking tactically and strategically? Maybe, but it backfired almost instantly.
When safety cars get called, he literally just got past the pit lane entry. They were coming up over the hill at full race pace. He wasn't on the correct side of the road for pit lane as either, ladies and gentlemen. So just make note of that as well, Cabo.
It seems strange, but everyone else went in for a full stop, and he went in for half a one. Luke Grundell's gone into the pit lane for a 4.7 second stop there on lap 21 as well. So there's all sorts of different strategies playing out right now. We don't really know what to think of all of this and how to make sense of it. Jamie Dyke's in pit lane. Michael Angus is in pit lane. Bruce Tunnick's been in there for 1:20. Simon Vella's been in there for 23 minutes. Okay, so now you can safety car did come out for Bruce Tunnick. There you go. Even though he got back to the pit lane under his own steam, must have been in an unsafe position and race control. May have been a little bit trigger happy on that one, but Bruce Tunnick has still got back to pit lane and will no doubt be there for a little while with some damage sustained. Not sure if we've seen a replay of that incident yet, whether we will see a replay of that incident, but what I can tell you, 62 minus 25% gets you back to 46.5. So 7's the critical number. And unfortunately, that means that Simon Vella won't score points tonight because he's out of business. 16 laps down. He won't score points tonight. Sean Mcnamara back on the lead lap, but he'll have an invoice to pay potentially at the back end of the race. He pitted on lap 19, which was before the leaders, Shepard and Leonage on 21 and a few others on 20. So that's the first and foremost important point. The second is the extra fuel that he would have burnt compared to the rest of them who were coasting around behind the safety car while he got his lap back. Mcnamara needs another safety car again. This is, again, hypotheticals of Lime Rock all over.
Yeah, it is. One thing to note with Grundell, though, as well, Cabo, 4.7 pit stop.
Yep.
That's to top him up just with that little bit of extra. He's already burnt enough fuel for, let's say 5 seconds worth of fuel in the pit stop. So that would have been roughly about 10 litres, 10, 12 litres of fuel that he's burnt. He's come back in, build himself up, was go to a replay. We'll get back to this moment about Luke Grundell in a second, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bruce Tunnick coming out of pit lane. This happened after the pit stop. Tunnick and Freeman came together.
That's why.
And sitting on the apex of turn 2.
Freeman's in all sorts of trouble. Sean Mcnamara in pit lane now as well. So
This will be his top up.
yeah. So, and also Jamie Dyke. So those guys are thinking long game as well.
They are.
We'll take the penalty now, put ourselves at the back of the train, and then try and work our way forward. So that's damage control from them, and very good damage control.
And same with Luke Rundell now, because everybody's already come in. They've burnt this fuel. Rudd specifically has burnt this fuel on his outlap. So technically he's got less of a tank right now than what Corey Shepherd has got. Luke Rundell's come in, topped up 12 odd litres worth. That means he can now go that extra 4 laps almost, longer than what these guys can. So this is where he'll get an extra 4 laps. Mcnamara now, he's going to get 4 extra laps. Jamie Dyke, he's going to get a couple, 4 extra laps. Mcnamara might even go longer. His pit stop was 10 seconds, so that signifies about 20 litres thrown in there to me as well. So this is going to be big. This is going to be really 100%. Shake up the strategy, and it's completely blown. Not just myself, and I'm guessing you, Kate, was blowing you out of the water as well, because the strategies they're all over the place now. We don't know what's going on. Safety car, lights out.
Quickly. Yeah, lights out on the safety car. Racing resuming this time by. It'll be the start of lap 25, ladies and gentlemen. 24:62 is the one we're currently circulating. Hope you're enjoying Tuesday Night Motorsport and ANZAC edition on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting right around Australia. Now, Dylan Rudd, Corey Shepherd, Cameron Jones, Brian Borg, Rehan Leonage, the top 5 here. The Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries, the Atlanta 250. How good's this going to be? What we've got to keep an eye on here now too, Matt, is the drivers that you just mentioned who've got that extra yardstick, if you like. Instead of fuel saving, they can probably now throw caution to the wind and go on full tilt stints right to the checkered flag, because all of a sudden, that critical number, lap 43, seems manageable from here. So we'll wait and see. In control of Dylan Rudd is this entire field as we come back to green. He hits the gas and gets going. Corey Shepherd in close pursuit. Have a look at Brian Borg all over the back of Cameron Jones as well on the run to 1. Rehan Leonage, Hayden Norris, then David Kirby. No change thus far. The order remains the same. Side by side further back there, about 10th in the pack. Keeping in mind as well, race control may have a look at this. Corey Shepherd had more than a 5-car length gap between himself and Dylan Rudd, and that's frowned upon in our circles. So we will keep an eye on that, because it could hurt Corey Shepherd in the long run. If race control notices that and decides, you know what, you need to come to pit lane and serve a penalty here. We'll wait and see. But at the moment, that 5-car length has been slashed to 2. He's all over the back of Dylan Rudd on the run down the back straight. Now, will we see some elbows out racing here, or will they be happy to play the long game and just push one another along and work together at this point? My thinking is Shepherd wants to get back where he was. Cameron Jones still holding off Brian Borg. Herrera has fallen back out of all of that to 13th place, ladies and gentlemen. His teammate Rehan Leonage remains where he started in 5th. Across the line we go. Lap 25 in the books. We're on to 26 here. 26 of 62. So after this one, there'll be 36 laps to go. Going by nice and quickly. What is it? 25 past 8 Australian Eastern Standard Time. This is about the normal time we start these races.
It is. We're almost halfway through.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through. So we are heading for a slightly earlier knockoff time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying it. The opening enduro of the season, over 250k. And, of course, the next one will be Tuesday, the 8th of June from Mount Panorama. Sorry, Tuesday, the 7th of June, my apologies, from Mount Panorama, Bathurst in New South Wales. So looking forward to that immensely. 26 of 62. You're watching the 9.5 SimSport entry there as they make their way around onto the back straight. That is Simon Chadwick. Behind him, of course, Brent Nitschke. Then Thomas Freeman, who, irrespective of the penalties and everything else, has got himself back to 11th position. But does he have a case to answer for that incident with Bruce Tunnock? We'll find out. Down to turn 10, 11, 12, and 13 once more. Field goes through line of stern. Down the inside, Freeman on Nitschke for 10th. Freeman gets by Nitschke. Moves into 10th place now. Rudd, Shepherd, Jones the top three, and pushing one another along very nicely. Cameron Jones right in this bat.
Yeah, Jones has found himself up in third position now. He started all the way down in 8th. Just by the lucky stroke of being consistent, just plucking them off one by one, a little bit strategic in pit lane, has now found himself in the podium contention fairly early on in the race thus far. Still another pit stop to go, possibly even another safety car, Cabo. I mean, we know safety car breeds safety cars in V8 supercars, especially around Bathurst, but I mean, Road Atlanta is somewhat like a Bathurst track. It's once it comes out once, it's going to come out again. Very easy to come unstuck around here. So Jones doing a fantastic job, but the top 10, top 9 locked in at the moment, and they're only separated by not even 3 seconds at the moment. So this is a very good battle at the moment for the top 10.
I think, well, two things here that I want to cover off. One, I think everyone's thinking it's a one-stop race from the resumption. I don't think anyone's thinking 2 stops from here, because those that came in and paid the invoice during the safety car were covering off the potential of having to stop on lap 57, 58. So I think it's a one-stop from here. Have a look at this. Elbows out, down the order. This is good racing. Hayden Sell trying to get down on the inside. Brian Borg showing off the track at the moment. So Brian Borg's in a little bit of trouble. Have a look at this.
McNamara just behind him as well. Look at this, Cabo. McNamara just behind Sell there in the back in the middle of it all.
I think
So
Borg
Sell
ended
got
up just
past
flipping the
Turner.
dirt just quietly too here, guys. The off-track alert was showing for a little bit longer than we'd like it to, because it made us think that there might have been something more sinister in this. But no, have a look at this. Borg just on the grass.
Yeah, it goes for
Didn't
a
even cost himself any time in the greater scheme of things. Gives Cameron Jones a little bit of an edge, but that's it. And the top 7 in a train at the moment. There they are.
This
This is actually a little bit further back. This is
Sell
Hayden
at
Sell.
the inside of Grundle.
This is 11th through 18th you're watching here, Matt Davis. That's how close they are. 1, 2,
Very
3,
good
4,
move
5,
through
6,
7.
7, 8. And a good move, as you say, from Hayden Stell into 14th now. Next target, Dylan Pereira. We'll be looking to make light work of him. Pereira all over Nitschke as well. Here they come. Look at Pereira.
McNamara coming
Pereira's
through as
got
well.
the eyes on. Pereira's got the eyes on down the inside. Pereira makes the move on Brenton Nitschke. Nitschke surrenders.
Hayden
And now
Sell's got in as
McNamara.
well. Hayden Sell's going to get the lun out of 11.
100%.
Nitschke loses 2 in the matter of a couple corners. McNamara still trying to get around Kai Turner as well at the back as they come through 11 and 12 onto the main
Got
straight.
him. Got him.
Nitschke getting swamped by Grundle now. So Nitschke goes back 3 positions in a matter of 2 corners.
Hasn't this safety car just ignited everything in Georgia? We're not even 40 minutes into the race here. The sun's starting to set.
Oh,
You can see
no!
that.
Contact! McNamara make contact!
And McNamara off the road. Is that a race-defining or a championship-defining moment? Well spotted, Matt Davis. It happened just out of my eye here. Grundle and McNamara. Bang. Bang again. And McNamara gone. And sent
Into the
into the
wall.
wall.
That's gone.
And
That's lights out.
that will be a difficult recovery from there. Just when it looked like, just when you thought he was starting to claw his way back into this thing, he's going to come to pit lane another time. This will be his 4th stop, and that one may well be the hit that puts him out of this.
That was very close. That's actually, it's going to be a tough one for race control to call this cable. I mean, it's McNamara. They make a little bit of contact there, and then McNamara sort of holds Grundle there up on the curb a bit. Doesn't apply enough race room, but then Kai Turner.
Apologies.
Kai
Yeah.
Turner just doesn't let Kai Turner just enough room. He bumps him up onto the curb a bit. Kai Turner gets a bit unsettled and then sort of pushes into the door of McNamara as well when he goes to back out of it. So that's going to be actually very, very tough call for race control to determine what's going to happen. Is it class of the race incident play on, or is Kai Turner going to face the orchestra and go to pit lane?
Oh, I don't want to be race control right now. I'm really glad I'm in the commentary box with you. Lap 30 is 62, so next time by the line will be the start of lap 31, which gets us to half race distance. Just out of the way there. and 50% of the way to go. This safety car that came out on lap 21 has just ignited the hell out of this race. It's great to watch. Here is Dylan Pereira on a charge here to get by Wade Sheedy and covered it off. Now Hayden Seller looked to get in on this as well. Sheedy looking to fight back. Under brakes on the inside, forcing the issue with Pereira. Oh, Sheedy managed to hold on by the skin of his teeth. Now Sellers all over the back of Pereira once more. Still down the inside. No, not yet. Hey, Sheedy's making it really difficult for these guys. Up 12 spots from 23rd up to 11th. Now Pereira down the inside to 1. Not yet able to get it done. Sun-setting lights about to come on these V8s as they tear around Road Atlanta, the first 250k of the year, and none of us disappointed with what we're seeing thus far. Yep, sure, there'll be a few disgruntled drivers out there, but we are loving every single second of this. The battle for 11th. Yep, 11th, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 deep.
And it's still 5 deep in front of the pack as well. Cabo, Rudd, Shepherd, Jones, Borg, Lenage, all locked into a battle right now. 1.5 seconds separate the top 5, ladies and gentlemen. Then we got Norris and Kirby sitting 6th and 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. My apologies, Cabo. What was that?
I was going to say, Pereira's got the run here, mate. Pereira down the outside will cover off Sheedy. Sheedy will look to get back under Bryce, but I think Pereira's got the job done. Yep, around the outside, for the inside. And this is exactly what you mentioned in the pre-rush show. And look at Hayden Sell getting in on the action here as well. He can get the job done on Sheedy. Oh, magnificent racing. And contact and gone. Big moment there.
Sell loses out next to nothing.
Get through on that. And now Sheedy looks to fight his way back once more. Sheedy drops 3 positions in 5 quarters, but race control will no doubt look at that one as well.
That was huge. How did he keep it straight? That was sensational driving by Sell to keep that under control. Sheedy all over the place, over the top of the hill, through the final corner.
Oh.
That was rubbing his racing on that one. Oh, that is definitely play on in my books, that came, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm happy with play on as well, considering that they both got back on the black stuff and they didn't really pay an invoice on that. Now Kai Turner and Matthew Scholes are showing off track. Now, have they come together? Kai Turner and Matthew Scholes showing off track at this point. Let's have a look at this. It is all happening here at Road Atlanta.
And Shepherd gets past, run into the pits, run into pit lane.
Yep, and I think they might be alert to something here. Safety car.
That's safety car again, so that's why Rudd went into pit lane. Rudd capitalises again.
Chadwick and Freeman all in now. Safety car boards and flags for the second time at Road Atlanta. Oh, geez, that was an intense passage of play. We've reached half race distance, and there's still so much to go and still so much to play out, but we've got our second safety car of the night.
Rudd's playing strategic here. He's going for that fresh set of tyres, Cabo. He's gone for the fresh set of tyres. Kai Turner done for the dusted, but Rudd going for a fresh set of tyres, a quick little splash and dash, just to top the tank up by a couple litres while the tyres go on. That's going to see him home on the next pit stop. This could be big. Yeah. Does Shepherd react to this and go for the fresh set of tyres? Does everybody else react and go for the fresh set of tyres now to give him the advantage as well?
Well, okay, let's pick this apart. Firstly, it's not just Kai Turner's night done, it's also Matty Scholes. My bad, because I didn't feed that info through at the same time. But they are both, you saw them both parked there. One driver's right, one driver's left, going down to turn 6 and 7. The second point that we want to cover off is that this safety car could be out for 2 or 3 laps. Brian Borg's in pit lane. There's a bit of kerfuffle in the mid-pack here as the safety car waves a few cars on by because he's hoping to pick up Corey Shepherd. There's Corey Shepherd there. The safety car is waving drivers through to pick up the race leader. Then obviously we'll worry about lap drivers, this, that, and the other. But here's an interesting point for you. Everyone that's still in the race is going to be on the lead lap. So there's going to be none of this, waving anyone around or having to sort the field out. this is going to
Borg and
be
Kirby
the
in.
order as we come back to the line, which is really good to see. So Mcnamara has managed to persevere with whatever damage he sustained earlier on, but he's sitting down in 12th place. So unfortunately, it's going to be one of those frustrating sorts of nights for sure. Mcnamara, you just feel from there. We've seen a couple of
may
pit
have got
stops
off
through
lightly.
Brian Borg and Dylan Rutt. Yeah, but still, he's dropped 8 spots as a result of that. So it's still, he's still paying the invoice. And whether there's any damage that he's going to persevere with or not as well, we'll wait and see. Lap times, bit hard to tell because obviously the safety car got called last time round. And Dylan Rudd, Brian Borg have both come in. So too Thomas Freeman, David Kirby, Simon Chadwick. Who else? No one else at the top end of town. But see, this is the point. This is now Lime Rock Park all over again. This is now two distinctly different strategies playing out because automatically you look at the guys that have just stopped there: Rudd, Borg, Chadwick, Kirby, Freeman, Dyke, and Dyke's been in 5 bloody times. How he's still in 16th is beyond me. Safety car's keeping everyone in the race. Also in the pit lane now, obviously Kai Turner and Matthew Scholes, but their night's done. Forget about them. Dean Alessi just came in on lap 32. So too Craig Schultz, Michael Angus. So too Brian Good, Wade Sheedy. So all those guys that have just come in versus Corey Shepherd, Cameron Jones, Rehan Leonage, Hayden Norris, Robert Crisdale, Dylan Pereira, Brenton Nitschke, Hayden Sell, Luke Rundell, Sean McNamara, who didn't come in that time round. This is now very interesting to see how this plays out because automatically you're looking at Corey Shepherd, Cameron Jones, that end of town saying, those guys, they're going to save enough fuel now here to definitely do this on one more stop. Then you're going to have the guys that have already committed to an extra stop. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I'm intrigued to see. I'm really looking forward to the fact we get to sit here and tell the story and try and make sense of it because at the moment it's a bit hard to do that.
It's very hard to do. I mean, but the way I look at it right now, right? The first person to take 3 pit stops tonight out of the entire field is currently sitting in 11th position.
Correct.
Well, sorry, the 2 pit stops. Sorry, the 2 pit stops so far. Mcnamara will count. He's in contention though, but he's not on fresh tyres right now. The only driver from 11th back to the bottom of the field of Dean Alessi. They're all on fresh tyres. Rudd, Borg, Chadwick, Kirby, Freeman, Dyke, all those guys, all fresh, brand new Dunlop slicks, Cabo. So these guys, fresh rubber compared to 10-lap old rubber. What can they do with it? That's going to be the big question on a restart.
But I'll raise you this as well. Who didn't take tyres in stop 1 and who did take tyres in stop 1?
You'd be silly not to take tyres because you've got
well, that's exactly right. If you've got 2 sets there, then absolutely.
3 sets.
But
you've got 3 sets to take tyres.
No. You've only got 2 sets in the lane, though, because you've got the set to start on.
Correct.
And then obviously the 2 on top of that. So if you didn't take a set in stop 1, but you've taken one in stop 2 and you're on a 3-stop strategy, you got a fresh set for the last 10 laps of the race. If you took a set in stop 1, but you haven't in stop 2, you've still got a set waiting for you at the end of the race. If you were silly enough to ditch the fresh set now and put a fresher set on, then you've got to make this last 30-odd lap or 30 laps. It's not going to be clear cut. It's not. We know who's taken tyres, who hasn't. So it's going to be exceptionally interesting to see how this plays out. It's still, I mean, what have we been racing for? About better part of 50 minutes now, and we're only just past halfway. So we've got a long way to go and a lot to play out. But one thing's clear, and that is that Corey Shepherd is on a 1-stopper from here. So too Karen Jones, Rehan Leonage, Hayden, because now that we've had 2 safety cars, that balances everything out. We were talking earlier about the 19 laps or the 19 and a half laps per tank at the fuel restriction that is in place for this round. And we saw guys work that to 20 and 21, which is what you needed to do. 2021 because that way 20 and 21 gets you to 41 and 21 got you to 62. Now, that's no longer a factor because if you were running 3 stints of just flat bang 19, you were going to have to come in and top up 5 laps. That problem's solved, but there's still so much to work out from here.
Oh, there's just immense amounts to work out, really, isn't there? It's it hurts your head trying to think of this. I mean, it's bad enough for us. We're in the commentary booth. We're just trying to pick it out piece by piece. But ladies and gentlemen, try being in the hot seat. That's the big question, K-Mate. Try being in the hot seat trying to pick this out. This is just phenomenal. Like Cameron Jones now up to P2. Brown Leno's the top 10 have all gained a spot. The top 9 have all gained a spot essentially since Dylan Rudd has come in. So or a spot or two.
I just want to point this out. We had the question earlier. I just want to point it out. For the ANZAC service, we love the ANZAC service, but there are a few people that are trying to claim rights to the Australian National Anthem that shouldn't be. So those of you watching through YouTube and Twitch that have switched over from Facebook, look them along to you. We will hopefully get that sorted, like we did with the Super Series broadcast last night, and get back to some form of normality next week and get those videos back up on server tomorrow on our Facebook pages. So we're live on YouTube and Twitch. We're delayed on Facebook at the moment because, haters going to hate. And we're trying to promote no social hate. But there you go. 36 to 62, 26 to go this time by the line. Safety car lights are out. And we are ready to rock and roll once more. Safety car heading for pit lane. And the race will resume. Corey Shepherd, Cameron Jones, Rehan Leonage, Norris, the running order in the top 5 at the moment. Crisdale, Pereira, Stell, Grundell, Nitschke, McNamara, the top 10. What can Sean McNamara do from here? How much of an injustice has the contact with the wall served him, and how costly will that be throughout the course of the next 26 laps? We're about to find out. The field is in the control in the hands of Corey Shepherd. He knows now. We go back to racing. 26 laps to go around Road Atlanta. Round 6, the halfway mark of the Goodyear Autocare Warana Super Series Tuesday night motorsport on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting and Real Sim Racing Australia as they make their way up to turn 2 for the 37th time. 26 laps still to go, and it is starting to get dark there. The lights will be on these remaining cars. The 21 of them out there on the 22, I should say, out on the circuit very, very shortly. Now, Bry Turner's out of the race. We know that. Simon Bella's out of the race as well. Bruce Tunnock is back in pit lane. He's 12 laps down and has been in pit lane for another 4 minutes. Yeah. So he's about to also, in about 4 laps' time, be out of contention from a point scoring perspective based on the 75% rule. Remembering 47 laps is that 75% marker tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And so far, only 21 are going to make that, but they are all on the lead lap. That's the good thing about safety cars, Matt Davis. Safety cars continue to bunch the field. Like, I'm not saying that we need as many safety cars as we have, especially in real world motorsport. We get them when we need them here, and I like that element of it. But they bunch the field up, and they keep more cars in contention and keep more drivers on the lead lap. So there are benefits to it.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it's really going to spice the racing up now. It's going to be interesting to see what Jones can give Shepherd right now. We haven't seen these two duel it out as of yet. It's going to be interesting to see if Jones can actually go with Shepherd right now. Leonage and Norris, they're going to try and go with Jones as well and really try and work together, I'm going to tip, and really hunt down Corey Shepherd right now. Dylan Pereira's dropped off pace just a little bit off the restart. Might have just missed the gun there. Sean McNamara has actually dropped down a couple of positions, so he's already hurting. He's allowed his teammates Rudd and Chadwick to go by, but Morgan Nitschke also have picked him as well. Rudd now goes into P8 as he gets around Robert Crisdale. So Rudd on the fight back, on the fresh tyres, and it's starting to show that he's got the grip at the moment.
Onto the back straight again. Lights now on. We knew it was only a matter of time. It was only a few seconds away from happening. Just have a look at how dark it is getting over there. The sun setting in the distance. In Georgia, on the inside. Moving for position. Hayden Stell into P5 on Dylan Pereira. Distinctly 2 races playing out here. Those that have got a pit more that have only stopped once already, and those that have stopped twice and all of a sudden committed themselves, I'll get the words out eventually, to a 3-stop race. And we saw last week, Matt, that the status quo, the two-stop will work rather than the three. Get the feeling that we're heading in the same direction this week based on what we're seeing thus far, but there's a hell of a long way to go. 1:18.45 for Corey Shepherd, the fastest driver of the race. Faster than anybody has been around here in the Goodyear Warana Super Series before him. He is the new lap record holder in our class, in our series. Cameron Jones, Rehan Lienage. Lienage giving Jones hurry up here onto the back straight. And Shepherd well in control of this field. The blue and white, distinct Ford colours there. The Mustang clearing out into the sunset quite literally here. Norris, Hayden Sell, Dylan Perra, Luke Grundle, Dylan Rudrick, Chris Dull and Brian Borg, the top 10. The reason why I say what I say about the invoice here, Matt Davis, is that you've got to consider the transit time and the stop time. And that is exactly what the margin of advantage that the likes of Dylan Rudd given the likes of Corey Shepherd. However, based on what we've seen thus far, we really can't rule out the potential for another safety car, which would throw the cat out of the bag and throw the ball game wide open once more.
Safety car in the next 5 laps, within 3 laps, Cameron. A safety car within the next 3 laps.
4 5, yep.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 laps, whenever it may be. That's going to throw the entire field into pit lane. Now, look for Shepherd to come in within the next 5 laps. 5, 6 laps, Shepherd can come in, maybe even if he can push it to 8. He's had a bit of time under safety car now, so if he can push that out just a little bit further, he's on the run home. The same with everybody else. So this really has got into the 2-stop category now with the 2 safety cars. We weren't expecting to, but the third may be on the horizon as the sun sets a little bit more.
Your point's very valid. Corey Shepherd has done this stint since that safety car. So he was in the pit lane as the safety car was called.
Yes.
On lap 21. So he's done both safety car periods on this stint. So he's in a really good position when you consider that. Cameron Jones pitted the lap before the first safety car, so he's not as well placed compared to Corey Shepherd. He may have to pit a lap earlier, but still, because he's done 5, 6 laps under caution, he will be able to stop once more and get home. So don't worry too much about that. It's just a matter of now of whether the undercut works or whether it's the overcut that's going to take the cake here. Let's wait and see. Onto the main straight again, 22 to go. And it is Corey Shepherd leading Cameron Jones and Rehan Lienage. But Shepherd has wasted no time in checking out. In the 4 laps since the restart, Shepherd has amassed a 3.5 second advantage here. It is an extraordinarily quick car, especially when Shepherd's got clear air ahead of him.
Yeah, he's on absolute rails at the moment. Jones just doesn't have the pace. He's the only person other than Dylan Rudd right now to be lapping the 118s. And it just goes to show that extra little bit of pace. And then you put the likes of Lienage and Norris trying to get up into second position spot around Cameron Jones. It just goes to show the battling really does take its toll, doesn't it?
Then they make their way onto the back straight once more. Have a look at this. And the good thing again about bunching the field up is you get this log jam of cars jockeying for position. Yes, okay, it's meant a bit more work for race control and a few more elbows out and a few more incidents and off-track excursions and whatnot. But, again, I said it in the opener. You know, the ANZAC pre-race ceremony got everyone up and about, ready to rock and roll tonight. And they have certainly lived up to the hype. And they have brought the intensity and then some. And with every race restart, the intensity is lifted once more. Every time they've had a chance to cool down, it hasn't been for long. And then they've had to go out there and fight like buggery. They're really going to earn their keep tonight. I suspect, even though they've had all those laps under safety car, Matt Davis, the way in which the intensity of this race is played out, there will be quite a few wrecked drivers, physically, staminally speaking here, when they come and join us in the post-race show.
Yeah, any endurance race is really gonna put the hard yards on the body, and it takes a lot of work out. I mean, it's not the simple fact of you're steering a steering wheel where there's no weight to it. You can feel what the car is doing. Your entire V8 car that's under you right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can feel that through the wheel, where it decides to understeer, the oversteer. You can hear it in the feedback through the noise, where the car starting to spin. You've got to try and modulate your pedal.
Got me inside. Sorry, mate.
Chadwick
David
is
Kirby.
getting overtaken by David Kirby at the moment.
Couldn't get it
Doesn't
done.
get the move done. Freeman wants in as well.
Yeah. And Freeman's
McNamara
one of those
just dropping
guys.
off, like, just dropping at the moment.
Yeah. Freeman's
And
one of those
Rudd-
guys as well that has been in his fair share of wars and woes tonight, but he's still sitting there in 14th position. So this could actually end up being an okay result for him, all things considered. We're right on board now with
Pereira.
the
That was
61
Rudd just
Dylan
went by.
Pereira. And Dylan Rudd has moved into 6th place and is on a charge. Hayden Sell's the next target. Watch for Dylan Rudd to get Hayden Sell at the end of the back straight if he can't get him beforehand. Have a look at that. Rudd to the outside. Sell defending the inside. Rudd around the outside. Goodbye. Into P5. The former champion in this series, the 990. And Michael Angus off the road in the 205. Uh-oh. Oh, no, he's got back on the road. I was holding my breath there for a moment. I was waiting for it. That third safety car boards and flags of the night, that really would have ignited this race. And then some. Shepard, Jones, Leonard, Norris, Rudd, Sell, Pereira. You're watching that battle. Rudd, Sell, Pereira and Grundle at the moment. Boards all over the back of them as well. 5-way fight for P5. Norris in the pit lane. Norris, the first one to blink. There'll be plenty more where that came from in just a moment. We're on to lap 44, 19 to go. Perfect timing from Norris. Pits, gets the fresh set of boots. 20 laps to home, 19 to the flag, and then that one back to pit lane if you don't want a 3-place penalty post-race. Now, Nitschke. That's very nicely done on Chadwick. Freeman's in there as well. You said about Sean McNamara continuing to drop places. He's down in 12th and really struggling with it. You look at his time last time around, 1 minute 20.06. Fastest over the race, 1 minute 19.63. He has not had a great night at the office when you consider that Corey Shepherd's punched out an 18.45. Dylan Rudd has punched out an 18.9. No one else in the 18s tonight, including the number one. Just hasn't been a night to remember for him. Michael Angus, Dean Alessi have been into the lane, and that could be their last stop to get them home. Matty Scholl's still showing in pit lane. He's out of the race. Bruce Tunnick's 13 laps down. We know that 16's the key number there. He can't afford another mistake or another incident or another long, lengthy pit stop for his Tunnick, or otherwise it will be curtains for him. But at this point in time, 23rd is about the best he can hope for. Ty Turner is also out of the race. So too Simon Vella. Jones, Leonage, Sell, and Borger in. Pereira and Shepard continue on. The only one out there that is committed to another stop from here, apart from Shepard and Pereira, is Dylan Rudd. As far as our pointy end of town is concerned, but we know that that is an additional pit stop compared to Shepard and Pereira for Dylan Rudd. And he's he's already, and this is the key point here, Matt, he's already 9.6 seconds behind Corey Shepard. So considering that he's still got an invoice to pay for that second pit stop under safety car, Shepard has a huge advantage on the field here, and Rudd is on the back foot.
Yeah, Rudd only has to do a quick splash and dash, all of 8 seconds. And that's what it takes to do tyres. So the transit through pit lane plus 8 seconds, he's going to be looking at anywhere between a 25-second roughly transit time through pit lane. So this could work into his favour. It could actually put him up onto the podium as Rudd makes some form of mistake. Shepard comes in. Rudd's made a mistake. He's dropping down to the field at the moment.
No.
Rudd's made some form of mistake. He's dropping into 8th now.
That might be. I'm just trying to work out where it was.
Just dropped out of the internet.
Oh, no. Oh, can you believe this? It strikes again. Shepard. Oh, no. We've picked up Rudd again. He's showing in pit lane. Oh, breathe a sigh of relief, everybody. My goodness gracious me. Good and Schultz now lead the race. Shepard, Rudd, Pereira, Chadwick, Crisdale, McNamara, Nitschke, and also Sheedy are all in pit lane. McNamara will be pitting for the last time, he hopes. Everyone else should be. What a night we're in for. If the first, hour and a half is anything to go by, this last 20 minutes or so is set to be off the Richter scale.
I think Rudd's internet connection has dropped completely. He's 34
Wow.
seconds in pit lane. That's his night done.
That is a disaster. That is a disaster. Dylan Rudd, as if last week wasn't already bad enough. This is just insult to injury. Insult in the wound. Now, that is a massive leg up for Corey Shepherd. We knew that Dylan Rudd still had another invoice to pay. With regards to the pit lane, he wouldn't have wanted it to be 55 seconds. He's now back out onto the racetrack, but has dropped the better part, 3/4 of a lap on the race to Craig Schultz and Good, who are yet to commit their stop. Remembering that Good is now in. Good is in. That's fine. That'll be his third stop. Schultz is to stop again, but he's one of the drivers that committed to a third stop after that back car. Campbell, they're on lap 31 and 2. 16 laps to go, everybody. Hold your breath.
Schultz might actually pay off here. I mean, Shepherd's 15 seconds down the road.
Yep.
At this current point in time, Schultz can get home from here. So Craig Schultz may just have the strategy call of the night. If he can hold off Shepherd at a second a lap, just under, if he can hold off Corey Shepherd to 0.8 of a second a lap, which by the looks of it, he's not doing because Shepherd's just pouring his way into Schultz at the moment.
And more than that, Matt, Schultz has still got an invoice to pay because he's not going to get 27 seconds on this. And the fact that Shepherd's chewing time out even like he's standing still, yeah, Schultz is on the back foot here already, unfortunately, but it's nice to see him at the point out of town. He, of course, did a marvellous job looking after our ANZAC Day pre-race ceremony.
He did.
As well.
He did. Not just tonight, but last night as well. He did an absolutely fantastic job instructing the drivers on what to do and what they had to do as they went out. And here he comes into pit lane now. So Schultz, unfortunately, might have thought he had the strategic call of the night, but unfortunately, it's not the price to be. But the big talking point right now is Shepherd comes around to retake the lead of the race. Dylan Rudd, I mean, the luck's got to end.
What
the
a
bad luck's
shocker
gotta
of a
end.
night. What a shocker of a night for the 9-5 Sim Sports stable. Mcnamara 19th and Rudd 21st. Wow. You didn't see that coming at the start of the night. Corey Shepherd, Brian Ball, Rehan Leonage, David Kirby, Jamie Dyke up in 5th place. It's extraordinary, but he's 6 times in the
He's pitted 6 times.
He's doubled the stops of everybody else.
I mean, he's done it. He does it all the time. He comes from the back of the field, comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, top 5 finishing is on the podium all of a sudden. I mean, I don't think he's going to be finding himself on the podium anytime soon. I mean, it's possible. He's 3 seconds down from Kirby. And only a couple, just a little bit more to Leonage as well. So the possibility it's still on for Jamie Dyke.
Yeah, that's right. Now, just one important thing that I want to cover off there. We weren't sure what the hell was going on when Dylan Rudd dropped out. We know that he dropped out momentarily. We know that he's got back on the racetrack. We know that he's 21st. But, okay. Just getting word through. Weren't quite sure how that was going to play out for Corey with the potential safety car infringement back in the first caution back at the beginning of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Because rules state that cars cannot drop any more than 5 car lengths back on the car in front of them. They like to keep the field tightly bunched and keep the field together and not let it, drag and dwindle. Race control haven't taken any action on that potential infringement that we may not have picked up from Corey Shepherd on lap 20. So he's in the clear. He's good to go to the flag. Simon Chadwick showing is off track. Simon Chadwick is showing is off track now in 16th position. So he just dropped a bunch of spots coming up over the crest at turn 2 and 3. I think that'll be if we can get a replay of that. Shepherd, Borg, Leonage, Kirby, Grundle, top 5, Norris, Freep, Dyke, Stell, Shetty, the top 10. Important point that we missed in all of that drama with Dylan Rudd, Matt Davis, is that the field is cleansed. Everyone has come in and stopped either lap 42, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And that, by my recollection and my mathematics, would suggest that everyone is now going to the flag from here. There shouldn't be too many more invoices to pay. unless race control hand out a penalty or there's an incident that results in a penalty. Dylan Pereira showing a track at the moment. He gets back on, but he is now having an absolute down there, unfortunately, in 20th position, having dropped 17. So let's go through the gains and losses of the night, Matt Davis. 10 for Jamie Dyke, gained 13 for Wayne Shetty. Geez, that's been impressive. 8 for Brenton Nitschke. 7 for Hayden Norris, 6 for David Kirby. David Kirby's running 4th, having his best run of the season thus far. 7 for Hayden Norris. And then as far as the losses, 7 for Dean Alessius. Well, the losses have been catastrophically huge. 14 for Sean McNamara, sitting down in there in 18th. 18 for Dylan Rudd. 18 for Dylan Pereira. Oh, boy.
I'm just going to make a quick mention. Jamie Dyke was sitting in 5th.
Yeah.
He's now in 9th position. So he's made
a mistake.
A little bit of a boo-boo. Commentators curse strikes again. I apologise, Jamie Dyke. You're on for a fantastic finish back inside the top 5 to shock not everyone at home, but us in the commentary booth once again with how you do it. We don't know. Can you come give us some tips so we can find out how you do it? But that's an amazing drive regardless. Wade Sheedy up 13 position. That's fantastic. I mean, this is what the endurance round does, Cabo. It provides racing and the guys that are usually running that mid-pack to really flaunt their talent and make those strategy calls, which puts them up inside the top 10, inside the top 5. Kirby's now had his best result for the season. He's up 6 positions from 10th, now in 4th. And by the looks of it, if he doesn't drop weight too much, he could challenge Rehan Leonash towards the end of the race. Yeah.
Corey Shepard's lead is 6.9 seconds. And it's, a big one in the wall.
That's
running to Hayden Sell. Massive crash. And
that's safety car.
Safety car number 3. Oh, magnificent for the spectacle at home. Tragic for Hayden Sell. Have a look at this. Was there? Yes, there was. Oh, contact. The 3rd time tonight, Thomas Freeman finds himself on an instant replay in an incident. And that could well be the 3rd safety car of the night. We're hearing that Sell's got back going. So that might just about save us from that. But, oh, gee, that was a big hit.
That was massive. I want to try and dissect it. It all happened so quick. We get the slow-mo if we possibly can, JP, to find out what happened. Zell gets a wicked run out of the final corner. Freeman and Grundle, I believe, were duking out. Freeman and Norris, I believe. And then, Freeman and Norris just come together, and the tank slapper from Freeman just collects the nose of Zell. Just the wrong place at the wrong time.
Massive shunt.
Having such a good run too.
Race-ending crash for Hayden Sell. He's limping back to pit lane and doing so in the hope that he can. And if we can pick up Hayden Sell on the racetrack and just see him limping back to pit lane, just to give everybody an indicator. He's pulled up. He's pulled up. He won't make it back. That will be a 3rd safety car. Don't worry about that. Just when I thought he was going to be able to get back to pit lane, he can't go any further. The car has said, look, I'm surrendering. He's thrown out the white towel. And that is that. We've got safety car number 3.
Zach Caven. I'm meant to see how many laps to go. And I called it earlier on.
10 laps to go. Now, this is interesting. Did anyone not take their second set of tires? Has anyone got a fresh set in the bag? We'll wait and see. Corey Shepard's going to lead this field back to the green when we go green for the last time, I hope. Brian Borg, Rehan Leonage, David Kirby, Luke Grundle. There are so many good stories in this top 10. It's not funny. I know I said...
This is going to give Dyke an opportunity now.
Because the race is 1, running over time, and B... there's so much to dissect and pick apart for this. We could be here till 11 o'clock. Don't worry about that. Ignite ahead in the post race. 10 laps to go. Corey
now
Shepard,
director chiming in saying, no, please don't.
I know.
David, please don't.
I'm already getting told, wrap it up. No. Let's make sense of all of this. So, yeah, Hayden Sell, unfortunately. Hey, credit where credit is due to Hayden Sell, because as bad as this result's going to be, He's still going to get classified on 75% because he's made it to lap 51. That's part in way a very good thing. And I'm just having a look at. Okay, I'm just getting some comments through from our commentator on Facebook. Folks, ignore that. There's nothing in that for me at this particular point in time. So much going on in this race. We love these 250-kilometre events because, by gee, this has probably been the best one of the lot. It has thrown up so much in the way of substance, content, and also entertainment. It has been magnificent from go to woe. We're in for an absolute cracker of a finish. Couple of lap cars getting a lap back now on the car, one of which was Dylan Pereira. Hayden Stell has finally been towed back to pit lane. But this is the point. I wanted to give credit to him because it would have been so easy to park the car there and say, look, come and pick me up now. He tried to get back to pit lane. The car eventually gave in and said, look, no, nice try. But no, you're going to have to park it. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it off the racetrack. But even if he did, that particular part of the circuit, race control is always going to throw a caution here. So we've got safety car number 3 tonight, which I think I'm right in saying is the record for our 150-kilometre endurance races. Normally you get 2 worst, 1 at most. But now 3 is the new record. And Corey Shepherd's going to have Brian Borg. Has he? What? Brian Borg is going to be all over Corey Shepherd like spots on grandma at the, as Billy Birmingham once said, the start of this final stanza of the race. Corey Shepherd, Brian Borg, Rehan Leonage, David, Kirby, Luke Grundle, the top 5. Thomas Freeman, despite being in 3 separate incidents tonight, sitting in 6th. Hayden Norris, Jamie Dyke is back in the 10, in at 8th place. Wade Sheedy, Craig Schultz, Robert Christel, Brenton Nitschke, and Chadwick, Cameron Jones. Not sure how he ended up so far down the order.
Yeah.
He was. There's one that we need to find out about because he's only done 2 stops. He was on the same strategy as leader Corey Shepherd. Corey Shepherd didn't fall for the trick of Lime Rock once more. Remember, he went in on the alternate 3-stop strategy last week. Such garbage this week. Stuck to 2. It's paid off so far. However, what is to come? Because the field is now being cleansed and the field is now punched up, and we are going to the checkered flag with what will be 8 laps to go next time by the line. Whether the safety car does 1 more lap or whether it comes in this time by, I'm not sure. I'm said to believe that it's coming in this lap by. Sean McNamara is in 16th. Dylan Ryder's down in 19th. Those guys have had a night to forget. And Cameron Jones in 14th. I'm not sure how that happened, to be perfectly honest with you. But he will be happy because he was at the point of the town for much of that second stint. Safety car in this time by. Lights out, taking off the pit lane. Field is in the hands of Corey helping back to green. Brian Borg will go with his teammate here. Probably 1-2 at the moment. Then the Phoenix Racing entry of Rehan Leonage. Then the Fishy Racing entry of David Kirby. Grundle is 5th. Freeman 6th. I still can't believe that. Hayden Norris, Jamie Dyke, Wade Sheedy, Craig Schultz. But one thing's for certain, Matt Davis. With only 8 laps to go, the elbows are going to be out and these guys are going to be going hell for leather because all of a sudden we're staring down the barrel of a 32-kilometre sprint race.
Oh, I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, Kirby can get around Leonage right now and have the best finish of the season, make it to the podium for the first time this season, as well as we're going to see where Corey Shepherd goes. We saw him go just as he dropped over the hill, coming through turn 11. Where's he going to go this time? Straight as he gets on the hill again.
Didn't muck around that time. Just saw his opportunity to go and took off. Now they've got to deal with the fading light. Now they've got to deal with headlights in their rearview mirror. There's so many elements that have changed over the course of sunset here. One of which is artificial light taking over from natural light and what that does to visibility, peripheral vision, and also the track temperature as well. It is going to be a frantic pit lap here. Dylan Pereira's in pit lane. Dylan Pereira is in pit lane. Not sure why, not sure what's going on there, but Dylan Pereira is in pit lane with 8 laps to go. He is 20th at this point in time. Background onto the back straight they come. Lost Matt Davis momentarily. Hopefully come back to us very shortly as they head down the back straight. Shepherd, Borg, Leonage, Kirby, Brundle, Freeman, Norris, Dyke, Sheedy, and Schultz top 10. Brisbane, Nitschke, Chadwick, Jones, Good making up the top 15. No real dive bombs happening just yet. Everybody playing a safe approach here, a safe game, and and there's a move down the inside. Brundle on Kirby. Brundle in a 4th on Kirby. Brundle is 4th. Kirby relegated. Freeman's all over the back of him, trying to have a look down there into turn 1. Norris in this as well. So to Dyke and Sheedy. Oh boy, that's the first one. As I say, everyone took a very cautious approach to that first lap after the restart, knowing full well that it was an 8-lap sprint. But eventually, that line of stern garbage will stop, and the elbows we'll see some 2x2 action here. We've already seen the first move. That was Brundle on Kirby. Herrera still in pit lane. Matt Davis, any idea what that's all about, please?
Yeah, the typical world of the sim world, Cabo, is Dylan Pereira just dropped out in the pit lane. So,
another one.
He was having such a cracking night tonight. I think that may have what happened to Dylan Rudd. So he was following Dylan Rudd, and then found himself really, really close to Dylan Rudd, and then all of a sudden the screen went black, popped up, and he was in pit lane on the jack stand. So unfortunate for Dylan Pereira tonight.
Indeed it is, and it's unfortunate for Phoenix Racing as a whole, because they were at the point out, it's 3rd and 5th on the grid. Only Leonage still in contention there and running third at the moment. Can Brundle catch him in the closing stage? 6 laps to go at Road Atlanta. I said this would be a 90-minute race. That was before we took 3 safety cars into consideration, folks. It's going to be closer to the 100 minutes on the back of all of that. We've had about, 9 laps under safety car tonight? 8.
Nearly 10.
Lee Davis has done 8 laps. And,
there we go.
Lee Davis is actually classified 25th at the moment, ahead of Simon Miller. The safety cars done a better job than Simon Miller. No, poor old Simon Miller. I mean, that early incident with Michael Lance, that was where all the carnage started. Of course, Daniel Stevens, our other course car driver, helped with the parade tonight, but he's had the easy job of sitting in race control while Lee does the hard yards of leading the field around. Lee's actually led 8 laps of the race, right?
And then another 4 last night.
Corey Shepherd's done. Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, Dan Stevens last night. So they decided to split it up a little bit, right?
Exactly. Now, Corey Shepherd, Brian Ball, Rehan Leonage, 2 seconds up the top 3. We have 5 to go in Georgia. Luke Brundle, David Kirby still under pressure from Freeman and Norris, as Kirby at the moment trying to hold to a top 5 finish. Shocker of the night for the 9.5 Sim Sports Day. Chadwick 12th, Mcnamara 14th, just displaced Cameron Jones, if you don't mind. And of course, Dylan Rudd 2 laps down and out of business down there in 20th. Now Dylan Pereira goes to 19th. And Dylan Rudd
He's out of the race.
He's gone. He's out. Matt, well, I mean, he'll get the 20th. Sorry about that. But this is a game-changing night as far as this championship is concerned, because it's not only Rudd that's impacted here, it's McNamara as well. And if we were playing a team's championship, 9-5 would be absolutely filthy without the first enduro of the season. And Shepherd, Leonage, again, eventually, Leonage and Shepherd. Shepherd's leading this championship's about to balloon out.
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the 9.5 shed at the moment. I mean, who knows the words that would be going on right now, especially coming out of McNamara's mouth after coming. Yeah, definitely would not be safe for broadcast duties. That's for sure. But I mean, it's really unfortunate, guys. I mean, they were 2nd and 3rd in the camp, respectively. They had 3 of them in the top 10. They'll stay in the top 10. The 3 of the 9.5 boys will stay in the top 10 for the championship. They've got a lot of work to do now for the remainder of the season.
And this result will help Mcnamara close that deficit to that he had to his teammate Dylan Rudd, but not by much. I mean, what will it be? It'll be 12 points that Mcnamara gains on Rudd, so he may displace Rudd in all of that. But Leonard is set to go to second in the championship. Costello wasn't in the equation tonight, so there's 3 guys in the top 10 already. Genuine championship contenders already, seriously on the back foot going into the back half of the season. 6 rounds, 7 races to go.
Yeah, it's really going to mix up the top 10, isn't it? I mean, really, the top 10 were all championship contenders. It's the same at the moment in the Super 2E series. Like, there's a different top 10 in either race. And we look at the championship points between the Super 2 and the Super Series. They're virtually the same. It's to go anyone's direction at the moment. I mean, if Corey Shepherd has one bad race, down the inside goes Crisdale.
Got him.
Craig Schultz. Get him. But Craig Schultz going to have a run back across the top of the hill. Freeman into the pits.
Thomas Freeman into the line. There goes that. No longer in the equation for the top 10 all of a sudden. Craig Schultz is back in the top 10, only having been displaced by Robert Crisdale 50 seconds ago. So Schultz is the final car in the top 10 here. And what a great result that is for him, up 4. Pete Sheedy, the driver of the night, from 23rd up to 8, and done so without any trouble. He's been in the mix a little bit as far as positional battles are concerned. Had him on screen a couple of times, but he's done that without getting into any trouble at all. Way Sheedy up into 8. Really good drive from him. But Dylan Pereira, Dylan Rudd, Hayden Snell, they're all going to be disappointed. Freeman was through for a drive-through. Yeah, okay, copy that.
Didn't make a stop, went straight to the drive-through. But as I was mentioning with the top 10, it's anyone's game at the moment. All it takes is for Shepherd to put 1 foot wrong, and he hasn't done so yet. And I hope the commentator's curse doesn't curse him at all, but it can happen to anybody. And if you put 1 foot wrong and has a bad race like Mcnamara, the championship is back on.
I tell you what, there are moves happening everywhere here at the moment.
There is.
So you've got David Kirby has got Hayden Norris chasing him. Jamie Dyke has Craig Sheedy all over him. Robert Crisdale has Craig the company, has Simon Chadwick as well. So we've got a 3-way fight for 9th. And then we got this bloke out in front just wheeling and dealing away. This is Brian Borg now starting to come under pressure from Rehan Leonage as well. 0.8 the margin there. In the battle for second, Corey Shepherd waltzing to victory lane once more. A lap and a half to go at Road Atlanta. Shepherd by 2 points to Borg to Leonage. And then, Moonlight to the rest of, normally say daylight. No, Moonlight to the rest of the pack. Grandel 2.7, then 2.4 back to Kirk, 2.1 to Norris, and then 2 seconds back to Jamie. He's under pressure now. Jamie Dyke's under serious pressure. It's a 5-way fight for position number 7 here. He will get back to that. There it is on screen now. Look at Dyke at the head of this train. EP7. Lucky for some, might be lucky for him considering he started 9th tonight. And he's got one Sheedy wanting to make it his lucky spot. And Crisdale and Schultz swapping over once more. Crisdale holding Schultz at play for the moment. 9th and 10th. Chadwick's 11th, and with plenty of Wyndham Sales here on the last up. He may well throw a stunner in the works and be the sting in the tail for Craig Schultz or Robert Crisdale as far as the top 10 battle is concerned. Through we go for the last time. This is Corey Shepherd doing what he's done all season and just making it look easy. A comfortable victory for him tonight, even with 3 safety cars. A 2-stop strategy trumps the 3-stop strategy once more for the 2nd week in a row. Strategy has been thrown a curveball, has shaken things up and stirred them somewhat significantly in the Goodyear Autocare Super Series. But it's going to be a Premier 1-2 for the first time since round 1 at Windsor. On that night, it was Corey Shepherd and Rick Kuznetsov. Tonight, it's going to be Corey Shepherd and Brian Borg. We haven't had him in a race show this season, so we go another week where we add yet another new name to the list of podium getters so far this year. Last turn, checkered flag, the 718 maintains his dominance in the Goodyear Autocare Super Series, extends his championship lead. and it does it at Road Atlanta. Second at Borg, third to Leonage. Jamie Dyke's gone off the road on the last lap. He's dropped down to 11th. Comes across the line in fifth, just behind Grundle. Norris in sixth. Brisdale, Schultz, Sheedy, and Chadwick the top 10. Then Nitschke, Jones, Dyke, and McNamara. And Brian Good made up the top 15. What the hell's going on there on the last lap? Because Brisdale and Schultz have gained 2 spots apiece. Sheedy dropped 2, or dropped 1 in this instance. Chadwick's gained 1. Nitschke's gained 1. Jones has gained 1. Dyke has dropped 6 positions. All on that last lap. Was there contact between those 2 cars? Oh, unbelievable drama here on the platforms of the SimShed Broadcasting stables. SimShed Broadcasting and Real Time Racing Australia. Matt Davis. What 250 kilometres that was, if you don't mind.
Where do I start?
Exactly.
Where do you start, Gabe? I mean, look.
Now, can I just point out, I'll come back. I'll get you to start in a moment. Because can I just point out that in 62 laps of racing, you didn't have a chance to crank up the volume once. Not once. As fast as the car goes across the start-finish line now. That was, I think Chris Tunnock, was it coming across the line? Yes, it was. And limping across the line at that as well. So Tunnock's actually going to have to try and limp it back to the lane. Otherwise, he's going to cop another penalty. But I don't know if you can displace him 3 sorts from there, considering he's 18 laps on Matty Scholes. But let's light it up and celebrate in the meantime with Corey Shepherd. Have a listen to this.
Touch the grass there, Cabo. That's deduction of 2 points.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat. I'll take the honest.
The Russian judge won't be the Russian judge won't be too terribly happy with that one. No,
definitely not. I mean,
but look at the drift work. Have a look at this. The
expression
the
session.
Ford Mustang, the horses prancing beautifully. Fantastic stuff. Unbelievable. What a night we've had here, and still so much to come as we pick it apart on the platforms of SimShed Broadcast Tuesday night by the Sport done and dusted from Road Atlanta. But you're right, Matt Davis. I don't know where to start either. Let's try and make sense of it here and pick it apart bit by bit as we wait for drivers to join us here and Shepherd to come to the line. Firstly, let's have a look at the results. Let's do that. And we'll remind everybody who's done what throughout the course of the night. Tunnock is going to limp back a bit, and I think he's going to be okay. Corey Shepherd got the job done by 2.8 and over Brian Borg. 5 and 5, Ford and Holden in the top 10. I think that's the second week in a row we've done that. Behind Leonage, Luke Grundle, David Kirby, Hayden Norris, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Brisdale, Schultz, 7 and 8. Wade Sheed in 9th, and Simon Chadwick in 10th. Now, again, not sure what's happened to James Dyke there at the end. Hopefully we'll find a replay of that as we go on by. But Simon Chadwick rounding out the top 10 there. Best placed of the 9-5 stable. After a frustrating night at the office, they'll be relieved that at least one of them got in the top 10. Brenton Nitschke, Cameron Jones, then Jamie Dyke. He lost 6 positions on the final lap. Then Sean McNamara in 14th. Brian Good, Michael Emmis, Thomas Freeman, and Dina Lessie made up the top 18 that got home on the lead lap. Then you get to Dylan Pereira and Dylan Rudd, who at 3 and 8 laps down respectively will still be classified here. And again, it was an even split 5 and 5, Ford and Holden in that second bracket of the field. Then it was all Holden at the back and Simon Vella. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Hayden Sell was 11 laps down. Bruce Tunnock, 12 laps down. If we can just bring that graph back for a moment there, please, JP. So Hayden Sell, 10 laps down. 11 laps down. I'll get my words out correctly in just a moment. Bruce Tunnock was 12 down. Matty Scholes was the first of the guaranteed retirements from that race. So Bruce Tunnock, everyone down to Bruce Tunnock points. Sell get there on 75%. Scholes 30 laps, Turner 31 laps down, and Simon Vella on lap 6 after that incident with Michael Angus has somehow suffered incredible amount of damage and not been able to get back out of the racetrack after going to pit lane on lap 6 there. So, yeah, there's so many talking points out of this, Matt Davis, and I want your brief take on that right now, and we'll pick it apart with these three drivers as we have a look firstly at the incident for Jamie Dyke on the run home. Did he get some help, or did he lock it up? Oh, he got some help. Right?
Oh, you got some help, yep.
He got some help, all right. So race control may well look at that one. And that was at the back end there with, I don't remember
Wade
who that...
Sheedy.
Wade Sheedy, yeah. Yeah, who, to be fair, that was the first bit of trouble he got himself into all night.
It was, yeah.
Got home ninth, was staring down the barrel trying to get seventh, and all of a sudden does himself an injustice by getting into the side of Jamie Dyke in the last corner. So I don't know what race control are going to think of that. We'll wait and see. There might be something comes through on our screen here in the post-race show. Pay attention to that. Okay, Matt, you've got the floor for the moment before we get the drivers involved in this. Your thoughts on all of that, please?
Oh, like I said, where do I start from the start of the race? I mean, 3 safety cars, bunch filled up each time. Strategy went completely out the window. It was a new strategy call each and every time the safety car came out. I mean, I feel sorry for the drivers that were running solo on that one, didn't have the crew chief or someone else spotting for them to give them some form of hand, because that would have been a mission and a half. Racing into the night, that's another big thing. The track cools off. The car changes again. You've got to try and make your car set up for the hot condition of the afternoon, as well as going into the cooler evening, and then the nighttime couple laps at the end where the track's really, really cooled off by then. The sun's dropped right behind the clouds. So the never-ending changing of traffic conditions, the lap traffic really didn't come into play tonight due to the safety cars, which was a good thing. But I mean, it's just the strategy. It was always about strategy, wasn't it, Cabo?
Well, exactly. For the second week in a row, we're talking about strategy as a deciding factor in one of our races. Just extraordinary stuff. With no disrespect to Rehan Leonage or Corey Shepard, I'm going to start with Brian Borg tonight in our post-race show, ladies and gentlemen. Borgie, welcome to the post-race show for the first time this season, mate. Nice to have you on board. And, I mean, well done to you, because you did recruiting in the off-season, expanded Premier's presence, for lack of better words, in the Goodyear Autocare Runner SuperSeries, and by gee, it's paying off at the halfway mark, mate.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with a happy new year, and seeing that this is the first time I'm talking with you guys, so it's a bit late, but anyway, happy Easter to you guys.
Yeah, and all the best for yesterday and your birthday and everything else that's happening between now and Christmas. Yeah, exactly right. Yep. Hey, and Merry Christmas as well. No, let's straighten up and be serious. I know that's a difficult thing to achieve, but let's do this. The race itself, it was a game of strategy. It was a game of adaptation, trying to go with the punches, and you did that better than anybody. Very quickly in the piece, we saw that there were 2 distinct strategies at play. One was 3 stops, one was 2 stops. By the looks of what I'm seeing on our timing screen here, you went 3, but you somehow made it work. Just talk us through it, please.
Yeah, well, it's around here you can save a lot of fuel, so I tried to do that with the first stint behind Rehan, and then I tried to get away from Rehan and decided that wasn't going to work. So there was a little bit of mucking around going on, like on my behalf, like just trying to get the fuel down. Rehan got an extra lap, but then a safety car came out late in the piece, and the call was my call was I was going to pit, and I think I pitted with Dylan. We were on the same strategy, which made it a free stopper, and I felt like that was going to give me the edge at the end, which it did. Up until that last safety car where we all had to bunch up again, I was doing it quite easy up until then.
Well, okay, let's analyze the absolute crap out of this, because we've got a little bit of time up our sleeves to do it. Borgie, when you look at what we saw last week, Lime Rock Park, similar scenario, but the safety car came much earlier and there was only one of them. But immediately we saw that there was the alternate strategy and the traditional strategy, and it got flipped on its lid. The alternate was the normal, the expected two stop, and the alternate became the new norm, the three pit stop, because everyone that stopped on that safety car last week committed to a three stop. And majority of the field did that. And in the end, we saw that the patience and the two-stop strategy worked better. Tonight, still the same way, because your teammate Shepard committed to a two-stop strategy, whereas a lot of other people were on a three around him. With the exception of Rian Leonage, I should point out as well. So Rian's gone the same strategy as last week, and it's paid off once more. Not as handsomely as it did last week, but we'll get to that in a moment. It's interesting when these races pop up like this, where you get safety car after safety car after safety car, and you get different strategies playing out. But the decisive factor here was, and it was last week at Lime Rock, that extra invoice that you had to cop and pay. The extra, and it's not the pit stop time, because everyone stops for about the same amount of time and takes on the same amount of fuel. It's the pit transit time that costs you in the end. And that was exactly what we saw last week. And again, tonight, it became a talking point.
The difference between this week and last week is it's a completely different track. Last week, it's very position dependent. Like, where with this track, you can pass, you can have the draft and stuff like that. But, my extra pit stop was done under safety car. So even though that I done that extra pit stop, it wasn't under the green, so I didn't lose, the time stopped in pit lane to the guys who had to stop when they done the second time, was they were doing it under the green. So that's where I went from, I think at the time, from fifth to second. So it was a massive, for me, it was a big difference in my race.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's a different track compared to last week, and where you can pass, and other cars are doing different strategies and stuff like that. It pays off to do something different on a track like this one.
Yeah, indeed it does. And you did it well tonight, no doubt about that. Let me get your thoughts on this. Safety car gets deployed, 10 laps to go. We go green with 8 laps to go. That point, all the talk of strategy, all that gamesmanship out the door, and track position is king. Awesome position for you guys to be in 1 and 2. But what was the secret to Corey having such an advantage on the field tonight? He's obviously got this thing well tuned, well oiled, because he just took off and cleared off into the sunset and left you lurking in the shadows and in a fight for second with Rehan.
Oh, look, Corey is obviously an established driver, and he's he's very well suited to the supercars. And my plan on the restart was just to try and stay with Corey as long as I could in the draft, because that was going to help me with keeping Rehan behind. And once I knew where I had an advantage over Rehan, it was pretty okay with that to the end. But yeah, obviously Corey knows what he's doing. He's a very quick driver, as we all can see. And yeah, that's Corey Shepard for you, obviously. If he wasn't here like last season, that would have been my first win. I should have not recruited him.
That being said, from a team perspective, you couldn't be happy with how this season has played out. So let me get your thoughts on that, but then also your thoughts on your season thus far as well, because there's still a fair bit to play out in this championship, and now you've taken a tremendous confidence booster out of what happened tonight.
For me, unfortunately, I'm battling with some things in the background, so that's why I was a bit absent for the last couple of weeks. But from the team perspective, it's obviously Corey's going very strong. Tom Freeman is very quick behind the wheel. And then, a bit of with the team, it's just moving forward. And, when we've got everyone on track and everyone practicing and stuff like that, we're just stronger. And I think that's what you're seeing tonight. There was a bit of practice happening before tonight.
Without doubt. Now, I've been told to rein it in a little bit because we need a bit of beauty sleep here in the SimShed Broadcasting commentary box. So we can't go as long as we'd like to with this post-race show, boy. But come back and have a chat to us anytime you like, because you're always someone that adds some comedic value to the broadcast. So we like that. We're grateful for your presence here tonight, and appreciate the fact that you've stopped on by, and we're really enjoying the fact that you're back on the podium. I must say that it's been, as you say, a busy and difficult start of the season, but the best is yet to come from you. Just quickly, thoughts. So when you two things I want to get from you before we come back to you at the end here, and thank sponsors, and then I'll move on to Rehan and also to Corey here. First one, pit stop. You had 3 pit stops, but you had 2 sets of tyres waiting for you in the lane. So the guys that stopped twice, they had 2 sets of rubber, no problem there. They knew exactly when they were going to take them. How did you change your strategy up so that you took tyres at the right time, please?
Well, it was obviously that pit stop that I did. The extra pit stop, I didn't take tyres. So I had a clean set of boots for the end of the run. So obviously one in the first, after the first stint, and then I saved in that second one, and then went again third one. But yeah, I guess that's what everyone was going to do. Everyone who was running on the second pit stop. So that's what I needed to have the same advantage as what they had.
And it was interesting how that played out, wasn't it? Because we saw a bit of jockeying and diving into pit lane during that first safety car period, because it gave everybody the opportunity to top themselves up and then to one stop from there. Then you get the safety car 10 laps later, and then you all of a sudden get people diving in to go on an alternate strategy, if you like. And then by the time the last safety car had come round, there was no need for pit stops because the field had been cleansed. So it was very strange to see how it all played out tonight. But the first safety car pretty much cleansed the field of any need for fuel saving. And the fact that you got 3 of them meant that you didn't have to fuel save on a green flag run. So instead of having to be conscious of your fuel load, you were able to actually throw caution to the wind, and that was reflected by what we saw on track and the quality good racing as well.
Yeah, definitely. The only downside to that is that you put yourself out of position. But lucky for, I think at that time, Dylan and I, we were able to get through the field pretty cleanly and didn't really take too much time. It was actually working in our favours with having the draft down the straight, and then we just picked them off down the end of the hill. So not really sure what happened to Dylan, unfortunately, with what happened to him. But yeah.
Just quickly too, interesting point that you make, but the overtaking opportunities here. You guys wasted very little time working your way through the field, and here's another one of those incidents too that we should have a look at. Simon Chadwick in the closing stages, ladies and gentlemen, just getting 2 wheels in the dirt there. But it was interesting because you look at Road Atlanta and you think there's 3 definitive overtaking opportunities, and that was more than enough for you.
Definitely. You just got to pick, you got to pick your time at this track. You can overdrive it, especially in the first 2 sectors. If you overdrive it too much, which I did a couple times, you just burn up the tyres. So you really got to think about your exits. That run on the back straight is important. And yeah, obviously having a good understanding about your brake control going down the hill, because you can obviously pick a couple of spots going down the hill. But the biggest challenge on this track, that was debating on, if I was going to do the free stopper, is the pit lane. It's one of those pit lanes where you get it wrong and it definitely bites, and the wall's just waiting for you. And then also having the extra fast lane in the pit lane, it's a very steep turn into your actual pit bay, and obviously coming out of your pit bay, you can't actually see the oncoming cars through your mirrors. So yeah, it's just a difficult pit lane. So that's the biggest challenge for me, I reckon.
Stay with me, mate. I'll get your thoughts on Imola in just a moment, because that was the second question I had for you. But let's press on here. Rehan Leonage, Corey Shepherd, welcome into you. Corey, Dylan Rudd gave you a hurry up in the first round of racing there, the first stint, if you like. Then the strategy really started to play out. You got lucky. You were able to stretch the first stint out to 21 laps. Then the caution comes and you're in fuel save mode. Then the second caution comes, by which point you don't dive in. So we know that you're committed to one stop to home. You get to lap 44, you come in, you top up, you're good to go to the flag. But then all of a sudden you get the third caution for the night and the field's right back on your clucker. Until that, I have to say, what a dominant performance from you, and another race win and an extension of your championship lead after some technical misfortune for Dylan Rudd.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was a heck of a night out there tonight. Yeah, like you said, that first stint, that was really tough. We had to turn like a 19 lap stint into 21, so we really had to stretch that out, and trying to do that and keep Dylan behind at the same time was really tough. But yeah, after that, we were trying to save a little bit in the second stint, and then obviously the safety car come out, which was quite good. Kind of got us into race mode and went from there, press on fast we could.
Let's just tick one thing off here while we're going. Sean McNamara has been in touch, did confirm that it was an internet failure for Dylan Rudd. I know how frustrating that can be, because I'm currently on my hotspot instead of on the internet set up here at the house, due to modems and NBNs and other things. UPICs, as we like to call it here at RSRA. And I said to Sean in response, I said, and you couldn't buy any luck, basically, implying that he had an absolute shocker. And suffice to say, the reply that came back to me was exactly what Matt Davis said it would be, language not fit for broadcast. Yeah, but hard luck for Sean McNamara. Look forward to seeing him bounce back next week. But that was a really tough night at the stable for both the main dominant 9.5 Sim Sport entries. Let's continue with Corey Shepherd here. Yeah, obviously our focus is that first stint, if you like, Corey, because I was trying to make the point in the commentary that we've seen passengers play like that before in Goodyear Autocare Runner SuperSeries races, whereby you guys get into a rhythm of playing follow the leader and working together to build your gap or save some fuel or whatever the case may be, rather than getting engaged in battle and doing yourself an injustice that way. It does look a little bit processional, but we've seen it enough times now to know how you guys operate. You're quite happy to settle into a rhythm knowing that, it's either 160 or a 250 kilometre race, depending upon the night. And you're quite content with your track position until that second round of pit stops is unfolded, and then the elbows come out. We didn't get a real chance to see that tonight because, of course, Dylan Rudd had his internet failure. But it was good to know that I was somewhat making sense of the situation, because we knew exactly the game plan for Dylan Rudd to tuck him behind you there. He didn't look like too racy in the sense that it didn't look like he wanted to argue the point with you, but he did want to keep you honest. So if you slipped up, he'd happily take advantage of it. But what was surprising to us is that he pitted one lap before you did. Now, whether that was tactical, trying to get the undercut on you, or whether it was because he didn't save enough fuel as he would have liked, whilst you were leading the way and making that fuel save look remarkably easy, by the way, of 1.5 laps to get it out to 21. As you say, not an easy thing to do. We'll never know now, because obviously Rudd didn't finish the race. But for you, it's been one of those nights where you had to fend off the competition in the first stint. The rest of it looked relatively easy, and you're set to gain the result of that, an enormous chunk of advantage in the championship. So at the halfway point, the dominant force, but you know how quickly things can change, and it's important that you keep up that aggression, that attack for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was great to punch a bag of points tonight, but bag a bunch of points tonight, I should say. But yeah, definitely easily can all come undone. So we just got to push it on and try and keep finishing all the races.
Going back to what I was trying to make sense of there, was that the way you were reading it as well? That Rudd was happy to just follow you along and take advantage if you put a wheel in the dirt?
Yeah, in the first stint, I think so, because definitely fuel saving a lot more towards the end. We may not have been saving as much during the start of the stint, but based on our numbers, we were gonna come out really close after our second stop, so it was gonna be a really
A lights out to flag performance from you, pole to the checkered flag. Fastest lap of the race as well, 1:18.45. The thing was on rails.
It was, yeah. Yeah, put in a lot of work on the team this week. So yeah, everyone's been on and that's been good. Lap and got the car all sorted.
Now, you were on two-stop strategy, so fresh set of boots at both stops.
Yeah, didn't have any tyre dramas this week, so that was good. Yeah, I think we kind of learnt from last week that maybe fuel saving was the way to go, especially safety cars and all that. So, yeah, when we kind of knew that we were able to do it, providing we saved 2 laps or roughly that a stint, then we thought we could go for it.
Well, okay, let's cover off 2 things here. One, yeah, you were one of the guys that zigged when you should have zagged last week. And I said in the commentary, you're not going to make the same mistake twice. The first safety car fell at such an opportune moment at the end of everybody's first stint. The first round of pit stops had just concluded as that safety car boards and flags memo come up on the broadcast. Then all of a sudden, that allowed everybody to either save fuel immediately, come in and top up to a point where fuel saving no longer becomes an issue, or obviously come in and get some damage fixed and get back out on the racetrack. But it was very clear to us after that first round of pit stops, because of where the safety car fell, it couldn't have fallen at a more perfect time if there was any element of doubt over whether it was going to be a 2-stop or a 3-stop. And then all of a sudden, 11 laps later, the second safety car comes along and blows that theory to pieces. So it was a night of change and evolving strategy play, and you really had to think on your toes.
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah, we definitely... Originally, we were hoping after that first safety car to save enough fuel for the third stint as well. So we're really going to fuel save heat so we can nail it to the end in the last stint. But yeah, obviously the other safety car come out 11 laps later and all that went away. And yeah, race hard at the end.
At the end of that first round of pit stops, though, as soon as you got that safety car, you knew at that point, I'm assuming, that you'd be able to one-stop it from there?
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I needed to cover off with you, just to make sure that I had my my maths right, and we did. So that's good stuff there. Hey, well done again. Obviously, as much as this is a good thing for you from a points advantage and a buffer perspective, you don't like seeing technical failures hinder your opposition, but you know full well how fraught with danger this server is, and that at some point or another could come back and punish you in the same way. So it means that you've still got to keep your guard up and keep ploughing along in these next 6 weeks and not let slip at any point.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can happen. But yeah, it definitely was unlucky for Dylan. And then, well, Sean tonight, it sounded like there was a condition there at the start of the race. So yeah, those guys were quick and yeah, it's very unfortunate.
All right. We'll have a look at the updated championship points very shortly. After we've done that, we'll get these 3 guys' thoughts on Imola, which is the next stop on the tour, and then wrap things up. Let's have a chat now to the bloke that finished 3rd, the race winner from last week. I hadn't forgotten him. I got a memo on me here. Talk to Rehan. No, I haven't forgotten him. We were always going there, but I just wanted to let everyone know where we're going after that so that we're all on the same page. Stick around, folks. Still a bit to come in this post-race show. A lot to try and dissect tonight. Rehan Leonage for Phoenix Racing. Hey, what a performance from you, my friend. Once again, strategy falls into your favour. But you and Dylan Pereira had good race pace, a good qualifying pace tonight. You both started inside the top 5. You stayed there pretty well the entire night. Dylan's obviously fallen foul somewhere along the way. If you know what's going on, we'll get you to elaborate on that for me in just a moment. But from your perspective, okay, yep, sure, Shepard and Borgie have got the better of you tonight. But you have well and truly bounced back on the back of the confidence-boosting race win last week and maintained that momentum with your second podium of the season, mate. So well done on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a tough race because it was an endurance race. Tough track to get right even just for the quali lap. I had a couple tenths left in the quali lap, but just kept on making little mistakes that cost it. But yeah, overall still good qualifying pace, same from Dylan, and then just tried to transfer that into a race, and it worked. And we were really surprised at the end when Forky was ahead of us after the pit stop.
Exactly right, mate. I'm getting a hurry up from my colleagues here, so we'll keep this quick. But in saying all of that, mate, let's focus on a couple of things with you. After it worked so beautifully for you last week, the master plan of going 2 stops and stretching it out when everybody else committed to 3. I suspected you were going to think along the same lines tonight when that safety car fell right around the mid-race mark. And again, you reaped the reward of that because you had quite a buffer on 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, but you just couldn't stop bogging.
That's right. It was like after we came out from last pit stop, especially we were just a little bit behind David Kirby, so we were thinking got to try to get past this guy quickly or else to push him into a mistake, but we managed to get past him. And then we gapped him a little bit and just tried not to make any mistakes from there, and we knew podium was ours.
Exactly right. And a big night as far as the championship's concerned, mate, because without knowing for certain, you, by my numbers, should move up because it was a shocker for Sean Mcnamara, a shocker for Dylan Rudd. Rainer Costello wasn't here. You had him covered already. So all of a sudden, game on, and catch me if you can, says Corey Shepherd.
It's going to be very tough to catch up to Corey Shepherd, you know, with that winning streak from before, and still on another league. But at this point, it's just trying to keep the other guys behind us. And bad luck to Rod and Macca and my teammate Dylan.
Well, just quickly, what happened to Mr. Pereira, please? Have you had a chance to speak to him? Because he came home in 19th, but he was 3 laps down, and he had good pace early on.
Yeah, I believe it was a little bit of an incident with Macca a couple laps into the race. I think Sean made a mistake in the chicane, cut the track, and then maybe got a slowdown and tried to bleed it off without losing the position. But then I think Dylan got a bit aggressive or didn't want to lose too much time. So then that's when the incident happened into turn 1.
That's going right back to the beginning of the night. We knew that Pereira and Mcnamara had that moment, but still Pereira looked racy for a long time after that. So I'm not sure what happened beyond the incident with Macca, but yeah, obviously the incident with Macca was a talking point in its own right. That was Bruce Tunnock. That was the crash that triggered the first safety car of the night, ladies and gentlemen. And there were a couple of big nasty shunts tonight, no doubt about that. Hey, Rehan, how much has the last 2 weeks boosted your confidence going into the second half of the season, please?
It's definitely put me on another level in another world of happiness. But yeah, really glad we've been able to bank in some good points and pick up the pace a little bit. Hope we can just carry that on for the rest of the season.
Matt Davis, I'm going to double check with you. Anything you want to throw at these top 3 here?
Mate, yeah, no, I'm just going to leave it at that one, I think. Every time you go into the commentary booth, like you ask all the questions you want to ask. So I just sit in the background now and stay quiet and enjoy a nice port on the side.
That's it, yeah. Oh, very nicely done, and very appropriate as well, because how many of us enjoy one of them on Anzac morning after the dawn service back at the local RSL? Very nicely done. Not Rehan, of course, he's too young, but Rehan, just going back with you for a moment there. I mean, you mentioned it yourself last week. The benchmark in this series, the bar just keeps getting lifted, and the goalposts keep on moving. But tonight, particularly, everyone had to be on their game from the outset. We mentioned at the start that the ANZAC ceremony would have got everyone feeling all different types of proud, emotional, and pumped up, ready for the race. And then you had to, retain that energy and put it to good use on the racetrack, and put the enormity of the situation to one side and focus on the task ahead. But then, instead of being an elongated 250-kilometre endurance race, it became 4 sprint races. It became that 20-lap stanza in the opener, then the 10 laps after that. Then I think we ended up with 15 or 16 green laps before the final portion of the night. So you didn't, I mean, obviously, safety cars aside, didn't have too much of an opportunity to relax tonight and switch off. It was a solid workout and a very busy 250 kilometres, wasn't it?
It was definitely busy. The only real breaks I got was a safety car on the straight. I got a bit of a drink. That was really it, and because it was quite close too, that's what really made it quite hard to have a bit of a break, because they're always on your toes.
Exactly right. Getting close to wrapping this one up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Shepherd, Brian Borg, your thoughts very quickly before I go to the championship points, and then thanks some sponsors, get your final thoughts and all that sort of stuff. On the intensity of tonight. No, I guess for you, Corey Shepherd, it was mainly the first stint. That was what happened to Simon Vella second time round, ladies and gentlemen. So not only the incident with Michael Angus, but then that as well. And that, we didn't actually get a proper look at that at the time, but that is what proved to be curtains for him in the end. A shocker of a night for the KFC boys. Obviously, Cameron Jones was running at the forefront of town there in the second stint and ended up down in 12th place as well. And then another one for Michael Angus too. So a few guys having more than one incident throughout the course of that 62 laps. But just from Corey, not so much for you, because obviously the intensity for you was that first stint. But Borgie, the stop-start nature of the night, it became, as I said, 4 short, sharp sprint races, didn't it? And that obviously brings with it a whole different level of intensity to just one flat-out 250-kilometre enduro with no safety car intervention.
Quite enjoyed the safety car. I think it obviously makes the night a little bit more interesting for everybody, so it just doesn't feel like one big race and people are getting gaps on each other. But I think the biggest thing out of tonight was that first stint with Rehan, where we were both trying to save fuel, and we've probably done each other a mischief by slowing each other up in doing it, because we actually gave spots away to I think it was Cameron.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it was a little bit funny when all of that happened, but yeah, obviously, you gotta take it, and then in that second, it was just good. I actually enjoyed the safety cars, but I think at the end, the good thing about Rehan, even though that he's young and everything, he's got a good head on his shoulders, where you sort of know that if he's going to make a move, it's going to be a clean move. So, it's a good thing to have, and having a safety car at the end like that, sometimes it just brings more accidents, because people know it's coming to the end of the race. But as far as I know, everything came out pretty good.
I've still got a lot that I'd like to cover off here, but I'm out of time to do it. So I'm going to blame the 8 safety car laps for the fact that we're running overtime, but that's another story for another day. I'll deal with that off air. Borgie, I'll come back to you a little bit later on and get some thoughts on Imola and get you to thank some sponsors. In the meantime, let's have a look at some championship points here at the end of this round and just see just how much, things have been shaken up by what's unfolded tonight. So not too much of an invoice for Sean McNamara and Dylan Rudd in the end, but Corey Shepherd is now an enormous margin clear. 52 points to the good on Rehan Leonage, who has 11 on Sean McNamara. So Leonage has got by both McNamara and Rudd tonight. All of a sudden, the youngster is second, McNamara third, 4 points clear of Dylan Rudd. So Dylan Rudd drops 2 positions tonight. The only thing stopping them from dropping 3 was the fact that Rainer Costello wasn't in the server tonight. And that's an enormous turnaround. That top 4, second, third, and fourth has just been flipped. McNamara remains third, but now he's got Leonage above him, Rudd below him. Simon Chadwick there, 773. Cameron Jones, 767. So you've got a big gap between first and second, and then an even bigger gap between fourth and fifth. What's that? 56 points at this point in... Actually, no, it's... no, I've got that incredibly wrong. It's 64 points. Ladies and gentlemen, I had a dyslexic moment there. I was reading it as 873 and 830. No, forget about me. It's been a long night. So 6 points then between Chadwick and Jones. Then Kirby and only another 9 points back. 12 then back to Chris. 7 back to Brendan Nitschke and 24 to Jamie Dyke on 715. He'll rue that last corner incident as well. Should point out that young Wade Sheedy will pick himself up a post-race penalty for that. Rainer Costello slips to 11th in all of that. Dylan Pereira is locked on 12th with Brian Good, Craig Schultz, Dan Orsi, Wade Sheedy, then Matty Scholes, Brian Borg, Hayden Sell, and Luke Grundell. 2 guys that will also rue what might have been tonight. Grundell still got 4, but he got himself into a little bit of mischief along the way. Speaking of mischief, what about Thomas Freeman down there in 27th position? He had more hits than Elvis tonight. No doubt about that. Bruce Tunnick, Michael Angus also in the wars, Simon Vella. In fact, anyone that was in the race tonight in this part of the field was in the wars. Hayden Norris, Thomas Freeman, as I mentioned. So there you go. That's the top 30. If there's anything beyond that, it'll scroll over the screen for you now. But what a night that has been. The point Borgie made about that, he liked the safety cars. And he liked Rehan Leonage, the way he races as a driver. It's always clean. It's always hard and fair. And that goes to show the positive influence that someone like Lass of Leonage has had on the next generation, which is really good to see. Can't wait to see Laz back in the service somewhere down the track as well. Righto, quickly, gentlemen, because I am right out of time. Rehan, Imola's the next stop. It is a circuit that delivered a cracker of a Formula One race over the course of the weekend just gone. Obviously, we don't have the added spice of weather on the way, but it is the start of the second half of the championship. We're back to sprint mode next week, then to super sprint the week after. But your thoughts on Imola first up?
Yeah, it's an interesting track. It's the most non-F1 style F1 track.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of big curbs and things, and some odd corners. So honestly, I'm looking forward to the track. I kind of like it, and I had a pretty good run there last time that we were there. So
Exactly.
looking forward to it.
And you say it's a non-F1 track that is an F1 track. Well, we know that some drivers have been critical of the fact that we go to too many F1 tracks because they don't normally suit the supercars. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays a role next week as well. Looking at that calendar, this will be the first Formula One track that we hit all season. We've steered clear of them to that point. But an F1 track next week. Then, of course, into Lagos, Donington a little bit later on as the former F1 track as well. So we've got a few F1 circuits in the back half of
I am looking forward to Imola next week, though, as that came, because DRS won't be enabled either. So
no, exactly. Yes. We'll actually see drivers legitimately working for their overtaking maneuvers without the added nitrous, as I like to call it, from the old Crash Bandicoot days. Fantastic. So Imola, Donington, and also the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, the Formula One circuits that we're heading to in the next 4 weeks. And of course, Road America and Mount Panorama to finish it off as well. Been an enthralling first half of the season. Final thoughts from Matt Davis in a moment. Brian Borg, quickly to you, your thoughts on Imola.
Yeah, it's a good track. Obviously, big history in motorsport in real life with the, you know, what happened to Ayrton Senna and stuff like that. So it's always, yeah, it's got a lot of history for F1 and stuff. But for the V8s, yeah, I reckon it definitely suits our cars. You know, big curbs, big braking zones. Think yeah, it's going to be some exciting racing and yeah, like you said, there's no DRS, but of course in our rockets we've got some draft that happens, and we've got some big kahunas underneath the pants here where we can get the move under brakes.
All right, Corey Shepherd, quickly to you, your thoughts on Imola. That's the next stop, and it's the start of the second half of the season.
Yeah, I've always liked Imola. It's been ages since we've been there, but I think it's a circuit much similar to this with a lot of curbs and elevation change, and it's very bendy. So it'd be good to go there.
Thanks some sponsors for me, boys. Rehan Leonage, we'll start with you. Third place tonight. Second podium trip in as many weeks for you. And a good gain as far as the championship is concerned as well, sitting second at the halfway mark.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Melbourne Hydrographic Stepper, Track Racer, Simcore, Aramax Hilton, and LAL Photography. I'd like to thank just everyone for watching, and especially my family for looking after me. My dad for crew chiefing, making the setups, and my team for pushing, for all of us pushing each other throughout the week. And thank you to you guys here in the commentary booth, JP for doing all the behind the scenes work along with race control and admin. And well done to everyone in the race that finished, even those who didn't finish. Well done, and even just completing a couple laps.
Rehan makes a very good point there. Well done, son. On the attrition rate tonight, quite extraordinary. 5 different drivers not making it to the checkered flag in all of that. I almost counted the safety car in all of that, but actually he got 25th on the classification. Corey Shepherd, we'll get to you in a moment. Firstly, to your teammate Brian Borg.
Just want a big shout out to Racecraft Simulations, AMP, Automotive, TMB Cleaning, PPG, and also for you guys for what you've done with the ANZAC tribute. It's been awesome. It's obviously, you know, what they did for us was something that we can't forget. So yeah, it's a big shout out to what you guys did with the ANZAC Day.
Even though it annoyed certain parts of Facebook, but that's another story. Thank you,
Yeah.
Borgie. Well done. Corey Shepherd.
Just one more thing.
Go for it, Borgie.
I'd like to thank my engineer, my right hand, where I had to click all the buttons myself and everything and get everything done. So, big shout out to my right hand.
Oh, brilliant. There's other things that can
I
be
was
thanked.
just about to compliment on that.
I should leave it the hell alone, but we're at 10 o'clock. Bugger it. The fact of the matter is that's the first time I've heard someone thank their right hand for something other than what comes naturally to the right hand. Let's move to Corey Shepherd before we go into the gut up.
Hey guys, just big thanks to the whole team and all of the team sponsors, Racecraft and everyone. Also, big thanks to Mum and Dad and everyone watching at home, and also big thanks to you guys.
Well done, mate. Well done, boys. Fantastic night at the office. Borgie on the podium for the first time this season. Rehan getting back on the podium. Corey Shepherd cementing himself as the favourite at the halfway mark. Wade Sheedy had the most positions gained, but a post-race penalty will hand that to Brenton Nitschke with 10. Matt Davis, final analysis from all of you in all of that. I mean, shocker of a night for the 9.5 Sim Sports stable. Hayden Sell unlucky with the big one there. Dylan Pereira, obviously, less than desirable result down there in 19th. Thomas Freeman in the woes from go to woe and ended up down the order in 17th, so frustrating for him as well. Jamie Dykelrue, the last corner, he'll have hoped that the race was 1 lap shorter. Cameron Jones, it's a case of what might be, considering that he was third there for a long while. But a cracker of a night for the top 3 at the top end of town. Promising results for Luke Brundle and David Kirby as well. Kirby getting inside the top 5 for the first time this season, I think I'm right in saying. Hayden Norris, Robert Crisdale, Craig Schultz all in the top 10, and Simon Chadwick held up the 9-5 stable on a night that they'll live to and would like to forget and live to regret, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an absolute stellar night of racing all together from go to woe. It's the safety cars threw it all in the mix. We've seen some of the top running competitor drivers just have the bad luck continue. One being Dylan Rudd, Sean McNamara just starting to discover the bad luck a little bit as well on the fight back to defend his championship. So it's overall been a great night of racing. Congratulations to the top 3 and everybody who's compared tonight. And a big special thanks to everybody that's tuned in to watch tonight as well.
Absolutely, and thanks to you for your efforts in co-commentary throughout the course of the evening. You're back up to do it again next Monday night, and looking forward to that. Big thanks to all the people that make it possible for us to do what we do here on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting as well. Goodyear, Autocare, Warana, Real Sim Racing Australia, FU Suicide, SimShed Broadcasting, Track Cams for Gourmet, SDK Gaming, Overpass Visuals, and Sim Inc. Looking ahead for you, this is what we've got in store over the course of the next 7 days. Saturday night starts with Custom Paints and Diecast Oz Stock Car Championship, the Australian Stock Car Championship, that is, shortened for the sake of fitting it in the banner. Of course, on the back of the ANZAC Cup, their series continues this Saturday night from 7:20 Australian Eastern Standard Time. On Monday night, the boys are back with the first Enduro of the Super 2E series, the first of the second half of the season for them. That is from the Autodromo Enzo E Dino Ferrari. Monday night, 8 o'clock. Join the boys for that. Round 7 of the Real Sim Racing Australia Super 2E Series. On Tuesday night, we back it up. Round 7, race 8 of the championship from Imola. A sprint round before we get into super sprint mode at Oran Park a week later. So that will be Tuesday the 3rd of May. And that will be the Goodyear Autocare Runner Super Series from Imola Tuesday night, 8:05 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And looking forward to that immensely. So, what about that, hey? I'm going to put it out there as we sign off tonight. I don't think we've had a more entertaining 250-kilometre enduro outside of maybe a Mount Panorama 250K in RSRA history. That had something for everyone tonight. Hard luck stories, good fortune stories, strategy play dominating the narrative, crashes, a little bit of panel rubbing, some good quality racecraft on show there as well. Something for everybody. There'll be plenty more where that came from in the second half of the season. It gets underway when we get to Imola next Monday and Tuesday night, respectively. Look forward to your company for that and more. Corey Shepherd dominates at Road Atlanta. He leads at the halfway mark of the season. And after 2 less than desirable results, Dylan Rudd's got a lot of work to do to turn it around quickly. On behalf of Matt Davis, JP, and all the SimShed Broadcasting team, I'm Zach Caven bidding you a very good night from the virtual Road Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia. First we think.